just concluded our first match of the day with the Houston Outlaws claiming a 3-1 victory over the Florida Mayhem. That makes them 1-0 in the week. And we'll see those boys again this Saturday for a good old Texas showdown with the Dallas Fuel. Up next, we got the Boston Uprising going up against the London Spitfire. Now, the Boston Uprising, they're undefeated so far this stage, sitting at 4-0. They are on fire, and they show no signs of slowing down. The London Spitfire, they're just a mere shadow of their Stage 1 championship selves, as they're sitting at 1-3. So they really need this victory today. And here's another cool fun fact. At the top of the season, back in Stage 1, the London Spitfire were undefeated all the way up until they ran into the Boston Uprising, the team they're facing off against today. So there's maybe a little bit of salt going into this matchup. It's definitely a meaty one. So yo, Uprising fans, Spitfire fans, make some noise. And let's go ahead and get into this matchup with Golden Boy and the crew at the desk.
Thank you so much, Malik. It's the second match of the night, and this should be, as one of my favorite announcers, good old JR says, a slobber knocker. I'm your host, Golden Boy, and I'm pumped for this one. We got Sideshow reinforced here. Gentlemen, this is shaping up to be a good matchup.
Whoa, gentlemen. So we call us the boys. Now we're the gentlemen.
I don't know. Whoa. Terminology changes, fluctuates.
It does. I'm perfectly happy that we're watching a great game, though. I don't care what you call me. This game is going to be absolutely spicy. It's going to be a great one. London going down a little bit. Boston looking so strong right now. This is perfect stuff. A little appetizer, an amuse-bouche for the final night of the game as well. Final game of the night.
In amuse?
An amuse-bouche.
I like that. Okay, I'll take it.
Very high class.
I guess we get it. I mean, he's living his life in a very high class way. I can't contest that. All right, well, let's take a look at the schedule here because we just saw Houston defeat Florida 3-1. A good matchup without a doubt. And then coming up next, or coming up later on in the show, we have the Philadelphia Fusion versus the NYXL. But now, it's all eyes on the Boston Uprising versus the London Spitfire. The overall standings here, you got the Uprising sitting in that 4th place spot. Yeah. And if they win this, they potentially go into that same win-loss record with LA Valiant.
I mean, this would be insane. We're looking at so many teams with a 16-win score at the moment, and if Boston could win this matchup versus a pretty slumping London Spitfire, that could shake things up.
Yeah, and these are the Stage 3 standings here, and as I mentioned before, a win here makes them 5-0 with the LA Valiant. They wouldn't take 1st place because the map differential is clearly on the Valiant side.
But LA Valiant have gone up against weaker teams, in my opinion. Boston Uprising are doing incredibly well to be 4-0 at the moment, and they have an opportunity, a really good opportunity, to be 5-0 against some of the best teams in the league. That's insane stuff.
And also, noteworthy on that standings, the London Spitfire would have the same score as the Dallas Fuel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oof. You're not doing too bad then, Dallas.
Yeah. Well,
that's what we expected going into the league, right?
That's exactly.
Here's the thing, though. They're coming off of a huge win over the NYXL. I mean, I don't think a lot of people going into that matchup had expected that. And now here we are with the Boston Uprising sitting on top of the stage.
What was so amazing about that as well is they lose one of their star players. Mistakes fills in admirably, I think. And the whole team system works so well on Boston. They have great teamwork, great strategy and execution there. Able to take down the NYXL in a ridiculous match.
Yeah, especially mistakes, right? Because we thought of him as sort of a tracer player. He was really known for that back in Contenders. But now he just filled the shoes with Sombra and with Genji. Overall mistakes looked amazing. It really shows that he's grinded the game to shape up those mechanical skills.
Yeah, well, we actually did have a chance to sit down with Gamsu and the boys over at the Boston Uprising to hear more about how they pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the season. Let's take a look.
Number 4 in the Boston Uprising taking on the number 1 in the New York XL. But today, the Uprising are missing a key component. They need someone else to fill that starting DPS role.
최근에 불미스러운 일이 있었긴 한데 일단 최선을 다해야 된다 생각했고 결국 이게 팀게임이잖아요. 6명 중에 1명이 중요할 수도 있는데 이 1명 바꿔도 결국 모든 팀이 바뀌는 게 아니기 때문에
I think this is a golden opportunity for mistakes. If he can deliver today, it'll be like nothing happened to Boston.
시간도 별로 없었어요, 솔직히 연습하는데. 근데 뭐 우리 열심히 피드백하고 이렇게 열심히 하고 때리는.
Big rip player though, Meko and Arc. Found by Striker, Boston is going to win Junkertown. We are going to map 5.
사실 현재 리그 최강팀이라 불리고 있기 때문에 이긴 게 굉장히 기뻤고
They're pushing New York back. That's going to be Boston. They will defeat the New York Excelsior.
저희 팀이 최근에 분위기가 많이 다운될 수가 있었는데 이번 최고의 팀을 이긴 걸 계기로 상승할 수 있는 발돋움이 될 수 있을 것 같아요.
Boston is just fine, guys.
More than fine. Only the third opponent to beat the NYXL.
Man, and you heard from Gamsu there that the vibe going into that match was just not good. You just don't want to have those negative vibes. And then it also helps when you have guys like Striker popping off, making plays happen.
I mean, Striker, before the season, I didn't think we'd talk about him as one of the best tracers in the league. But going into this matchup, he took down Cybiolvi, right? You have to start talking about Striker as one of the best, if not the best tracer in the league. He was absolutely popping off and playing sort of a man-marking role. He shut down Cybiolvi, but he was also doing work against the tanks. So just this very proactive tracer. It's not really what we see from tracers. Usually a bit sly in the background, picking off the supports, but Striker was doing it all.
And Striker has such a phenomenal aim. His mechanical skill is so great that he can play a huge range of styles to big effect. Striker corrals people into a corner, yaps at them like a sheepdog, and shoves all of the enemy team into a corner, and then the whole of Boston Uprising dive onto them. He's like rounding them up. That's what I'm saying, right?
I like the reference. I just want to point out though that at the beginning you had mentioned something about, you know, I don't know, some French thing. I don't know what you were saying.
I'm just dropping.
Okay, I'm from the Bronx, so I clearly don't know that stuff.
Way too high level.
And then you mentioned, you know, herding sheep dogging, and that's like farm and then fancy. Like you got to make up your mind.
I've just got a great life, you know. I can pick the best of both.
Bro, man, this guy over here, life's good. Life's good for Josh. All right, so
Striker's good.
Yeah,
that's
Striker's good.
Striker's good.
Striker's good.
Go on.
So
Go.
London, though, they have kind of hit a little bit of a slump, and this is crazy considering that this team was at the top of the world at the beginning of the Overwatch League. This was a team that everyone was talking about. I mean, these are Stage 1 champions.
They are. They're the Stage 1 champions, but they've been slumping for quite a while now, and they failed to find a real identity for the team, I think. They fell to Philadelphia Fusion in the Stage 2 finals. Now it looks like they might not even make the Stage 3 finals at all. They have had a rough time of it, I think. They're struggling to get back to those strengths. Profit playing a huge range of heroes and Birdring slumping a little bit. But when you get the guys on fire, Profit, Gesture, these guys are some of the best in the world.
Yeah, and if you look at a team like Houston Outlaws, they struggle with roles. London Spitfire, they struggle with members. Who are we going to use? How are we going to use our members? They usually field like about 10, 11 players per match.
How can you have a good roster? Yeah.
Exactly. And so we have Birdring playing Widowmaker and Tracer, and Profit playing Genji and Tracer, and then Hureg is playing Widow as well. So it's just a mess. Yeah. So how are we going to organize these members and make sure you feel the best lineup? Because there is no best lineup anymore. It's just an average team with no real best performance-looking lineup.
Brutal, but
I'm telling you, muy picante
muy
from
picante.
My boy Reinforce over there.
Spicy.
Now, diving over to the maps, though, the maps that are going to be played here today. Some interesting statistics for both of these teams, Josh, because you see here you have Boston undefeated on Anubis, London undefeated on Numbani, Boston looking good on Control.
Yep.
A lot of things here.
A really important map pool that we've got here today. Boston Uprising undefeated on both Assault maps that are being played in Stage 3. A credit to their coaching staff, actually. They are playing those maps phenomenally well, but they'll find it difficult to go 2-0 at the half. I think we're looking at a Game 5 here, and then when you look at Oasis, look at that percentage win rate for London Spitfire at the bottom. Tiebreak on Oasis, they've only won that once the entire season. So that's leaning things towards the Boston Uprising fairly heavily, despite the fact that Spitfire have an unbeaten map in the pool.
All right.
Crazy stuff.
So this is going to be a crazy match. We've been saying it nonstop, and these are the facts. So we got to go with some predictions here. Gentlemen, start with you, Johnny.
This is really hard for me because London Spitfire is right there in front of me, and I'm going to pick Boston as the victory of this matchup. So actually, yeah, I'm sorry. Boston is going to win this matchup. I believe in the Boston Uprising. They've shown with mistakes how good they are with these dives. Just a sync between Striker, Gamsu, and mistakes. Even if he plays the Sombra or the Genji, I just believe in the Boston man.
Yep, I'm following the map statistics as well. It looks like Boston are favored on Anubis and both of the Control maps. I gotta go with Boston here. I think they're gonna go 5-0 and look great for finishing maybe even at the top of the table here for Stage 3.
The numbers don't lie is what
they sometimes lie.
Sideshow is saying. But let's go ahead and bring out your first team to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, in Blizzard Arena, put your hands together for the Boston Uprising. Boston is 16-8 overall, and as we mentioned before, 4-0 in Stage 3. so close to tying up in as far as win-losses with the LA Valiant.
Exactly, and Mistakes is leading the way, of course, with his Genji and Sombra, as I mentioned. This guy has been phenomenal so far. Even the Widowmaker. We saw him pop off on Ilios. Who would expect the Mistakes to have such a good Widowmaker as well? So it doesn't matter that London has Prophet or Birdring or Hureg. I truly believe that Mistakes can match up with those guys.
I mean, weirdly, in my opinion, Mistakes might be the worst performing player that they've actually fielded for this roster. I think the rest of their roster is so good that perhaps Mistakes gets outshone. I think the spotlight is obviously on him because he's filling in a crucial role. But just the entire system of this team, the fact that each individual player knows their role so well, the timing is so good. The coaching staff of the Boston Uprising have done an impeccable job at taking a group of people who are unknown and didn't have experience and crafting them into such
it's nothing but love.
Yeah. Well, that's going into the resume for the coaching staff for sure. Sideshow,
should.
Impeccable performance.
It really has been. It's been phenomenal. This guy as well, Neko, never gets the spotlight on him, but frequently wins 1v2s in the backline. He's going to be under so much pressure from either Birdring, Prophet, or Gesture, just the guys that are diving, and he always comes out with the goods. The backline of the Boston Uprising is so strong with no support.
I just respect that so much. You know, just respect. You got to go around, man. Get those group hugs going, right?
We beat New York. We're feeling good.
Yeah, right.
If you lose now, it's going to be bad, but, you know.
Hey, man, there's still group hugging, and that's what you need. All right, well, there is your roster for the Boston Uprising. But let's bring out their opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, the London Spitfire. London also 16-8 overall, but the difference here is that all those came from the previous stages, because in this stage, they are 1-3, Johnny.
Yep, and it is Hureg in the starting lineup. No Birdring in the starting lineup today. The stage 1 MVP is not in the starting lineup anymore. We got Hureg instead, combination with Prophet instead. What a duo this is going to be. I really don't know what to expect from the London Spitfire this game, because they field so many different players and so many different strategies. It's really up in the air.
Backline as well, very different look from this match. They've got Hagapyun and Closer playing together, Fury as well.
No Huyol
coming in. It really is roster roulette with these guys at some point. London Spitfire, you never know what they're going to throw at you, but it's not so. That's not a good thing with London Spitfire. It seems like they don't have a range of styles that they throw. It's a range of individual players, and it seems like paint splattering against the wall. But they're trying to make a masterpiece, but it looks like a toddler's drawing.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, I'm just going to let it hang. But to hit on a positive note, right? We gotta praise Gesture, one of the best main tanks in the league. So we can't just berate the London Spitfire. We gotta give it some credit as well, of course.
That's the thing. They're playing with such great paint. To go back to that analogy, the paint, the quality of the paint.
Okay, Bob Ross, we get it.
The individual players are so phenomenal, but just the artwork they're creating is not quite there.
There's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Back on the winning. Come on, let's go.
I like the reference. I like it. All right, gentlemen. Well, this is going to be a great matchup. It's got that big fight feel, and with a big fight feel, you got to get some big fight casters. Let's go ahead. Welcome you casters, the one and only Uber and Mr. X.
Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
Big fight casters, all right.
Yeah, they brought us in as well. I don't really think we need to inject any hype into the arena. It's kind of already there, but we're going to double down on it anyway. Matt, interesting game. Both teams 16-8. A different London Spitfire roster that we maybe have expected coming out of the gates, but players like Hureg are looking very, very good this season in general.
I know a lot of hype is around, Birdring, how good he was in Stage 1. Stage 2 has not had the greatest of Stage 3 thus far. Hureg, his map percentage, win percentage is pretty good when he's in the lineup here for London. So you bring in Hagapyun and Closer as well. These are the supports from that GC Busan roster that was so good. The only one, I believe they had Wuyol in there instead of Fury, but Fury will play today. Still a very, very good London Spitfire team that they're fielding up against Boston, who, Boston has been a great story here in Stage 3 thus far.
I mean, yeah, after the removal of Dreamcasper from the lineup, and we see Mistakes coming in. Their first showing, of course, was that dominant victory, or not dominant, but an incredibly close victory over the NYXL. And now, I think since then, we've started to see that maybe, Mistakes might not be that same big game player that his predecessor was. However, very, very solid in a lot of these situations. He's coming out close.
Not as explosive, right? But I think he definitely is a very smart player. He can place a lot of different heroes. That was the one kind of knock on him coming in Overwatch League, is on maybe his hero pool is not the deepest, right? Really looking at just like Widowmaker, Tracer, McCree 76, but we've seen he's picked up the Genji now, as looks like that's potentially what you can see here out of Boston at the start. I know when Boston first came in, I was like, oh, why don't they try, and run mistakes some more on Tracer? Striker quickly put that one to bed, as Striker, one of the best Tracers in the league. Mistakes play Widowmaker at the start of the game.
Okay, so switch up there. Not terrible. It's going to force HooReg to play on this platform and not the back pillar, because obviously he doesn't really want to take like an even 50-50. Mistake switches back off, so he's actually gone back to the Genji. With HooReg playing on this lower ground, yeah, I like this. HooReg backs up. Now with no Widow on the attacking side, HooReg's probably not so worried about getting jumped on.
Right now, if HooReg just hits shots, it's going to be very difficult for Boston to make it on through, right? You get a D-Mech on the note already. That's Prophet. Gesture eliminating him. Neko will fall. As you see, they're trying to push this right-hand side.
You're dreaming,
this is not going to work against the Junkrat. A very small choke you're trying to work into. It'll be London. Picks up the first few kills here. Forces Boston. Back Boston waiting for the respawn.
That's some mad wishful thinking right there. The Resurrect would have been good for Boston to maintain some form of momentum. Or at least build it. Right now, HooReg's just been a good deterrent. You can see now in a good position just to try and pound down some of these tanks. The bubble thrown in by Gesture didn't last very long. However, Gamsu gets picked off now. HooReg's able to work his way around the outside, and this is going to be the Riptire in. Taken down though, kind of got a little bit snarled up on the way through.
Yeah, I think he wanted to go up and over the sign and then come down, but just couldn't get it up and over, as it'll be Striker takes his Hagapun, so you do lose your Zenyatta here. Closer, getting very close to Valkyrie. See if he can get a res. He actually dies at the hands of Gamsu, so we don't see it on screen here. Watching HooReg just trying to land some of these shots. With both supports down for London. It's a big break for Boston.
Good rotation from HooReg now on a lot of players being vulnerable on the point. He finds Note, but there's still a couple more from Boston. And yes, Gamsu just sort of waddles on out. Full HP at the Winston, and HooReg couldn't do a damn thing about it. And the Boston Uprising, yes, they get in on that first point.
They'll be able to take it. 6 minutes plus remaining. London didn't have an opportunity to use that Valkyrie there, extend the fight. It'll be in for sight use here by HooReg. Wonder if we see a switch off of the Widowmaker after this. Yep, it's going to go over to Tracer. So usually we see, whether it's Prophet or Birdring play the Tracer. And HooReg's been in the past. We have not seen his Tracer, but a very capable Tracer player.
Mistakes. Has a Dragon Blade. This will be a good time to pressure, because Hagapun doesn't quite have that Transcendence yet. Closer does go for the Valkyrie. Mistakes can still bust through that, though. Again, it's not sort of as much burst healing as your Zenyatta would provide. Striker's been brought back into the fight, so it looks like Boston do want to work around this now they've committed the Resurrect. Still playing passively. It's another Riptide that doesn't quite work out for Prophet. That's 2 from 2 that have fizzled. And the Uprising now can walk up to the point and start to contest once more.
Yeah, Boston may try and use the Dragon Blade to force out Transcendence, and they're going to use their own Transcendence as well. They're going to try and push all the way on through to the corner. Not going to get anything with it. It's going to be HooReg who connects with the Pulse One. Now it's actually onto Note, and then it hits Kellex.
A gesture there does finally fall to Striker. But Boston missed that key window of having a Dragon Blade when London didn't have that Transcendence by losing Striker. He got picked off early. They had to commit a Resurrect and slow the pace down. That gave Hagapun time to build up that ultimate. And you can see Mistakes' Dragon Blade. Not much to come of it.
Well, I wonder if you could have, if you wanted to make that play, if you're Boston, if you could have just used the Dragon Blade and dove into the corner and maybe survived it. I think you were probably worried about all that damage in that short area from Prophet. But then maybe just use Transcendence, save the Blade, dive in, right? Force them to use their Transcendence. Then when the fight gets back to the point, use your Dragon Blade.
Prophet closing in on yet another Riptire. Hopefully 3rd time's the charm for him. London would like to just try and stem the bleed a little bit. Gesture does well though, gets into the back line and removes Neko already. And wants to go for more. He's used the Farmer Rage. You can see obviously the wireframe of the players now, and that's bought a lot of time. Gesture is very deep right now, chasing Kellex out, and of course he can escape. He'll have a jump to get away, but the Spitfire are happy to follow up this fight a little bit now if they get extra casualties, and they have done so. Mistakes is down.
They're going to back on out as London's defense here on point B. This looks very good. About 2 minutes have gone by thus far. Starting to get some of these support ultimates back online. Let's see, I think it's really going to come down to when you see both support ultimates come online for both teams again, and Mistakes with that Dragon Blade. How does Boston play around that setup again?
An undefeated record on the Temple of Anubis for Boston so far. That is quite an incredible stat to have at this stage of the season. But again, they're going to be playing into some nasty stuff here, man. Pulse Bomb there for HooReg. See, having switched off the Widowmaker prior. Gamsu gets caught up a little bit there. Perhaps the defense matrix just couldn't be stretched far enough by Note to keep Gamsu alive. Now HooReg would like a little bit of a flank action as well. This is what London are doing. They're following up a little bit. on that first pick, try and get a little bit more, bolster those ultimate percentages and further stagger the Uprising.
And they can play a little bit of aggressive because if they do lose one of the tanks, they can just use Riptire, which is going to buy them a few seconds, probably pick up at least one kill, maybe a res is then happening, and then you get your other tank back in.
It's like you're guaranteed at least a trade most times with that.
It'll be Valkyrie that opens things up here for Boston, and London just kind of backs up into the corner. Boston not able to make any progress on the point.
Striker doesn't do much of that pulse bomb as well. You saw it was on Prophet screen. He just steps forward and he ignores it. Doesn't even turn around to look. Self-destruct's thrown into the back corner. That does force Prophet to play in the little moats, which causes him to be a little bit vulnerable. Now Mistake's going to go and see if he can make a couple more happy little accidents. Dragonblade's out. Fury's down after getting demec'd. Oh, that's a big Riptire though. Third time lucky indeed. Prophet removes Kellex and Striker from the mix, and that will be another wash.
Yeah, and London felt comfortable using both of those support ultimates, knowing that Mistakes has Dragon Blade, because you had Primal Rage, you had the Riptire. As soon as the Dragon Blade is popped, Prophet uses Riptire. You can see, just brings it right around the corner. Not worried about much. See both supports and Striker all the way in that background. You got the one support Neko with a self-destruct, and then you got two with the Riptire.
Fire in the hole indeed. The Uprising don't have a lot to work with now. Sort of spent a lot of those ultimates to try and get some progress on that attack, and honestly, got none. No percentage accrued, no time spent on the point, forcing a recall out of Striker here. Hurig might even think a cheeky pulse bomb in the order of the day. Why not save it for a tank? When I Gatsu or even Note here as he advances to the point. So Mistakes has already picked off first. Jester's done very well at getting first picks in a lot of these fights by being fearless and hitting that backline rather fast.
We see a lot of Tracers have trouble dealing with Striker. Hurig's battled him pretty close in the times that we've seen him. Because a Pulse Bomb not going to connect with anything. Striker's Pulse Bomb connects on a Gesture. That's huge. You're going to see Transcendence used by London as Closer tries to cross through the point. Not going to last very long.
That's a big risk that Closer takes. He knows he'll probably get a chance to come back to the point. He might have to pop a Valkyrie to get there, though. Gesture kind of being blocked off. Note was hoping to body block him and knock him back with a Diva boot. Doesn't prevent him from getting to the point. And now Note's going to go the self-destruct. Hoping to stay alive, and he should be fine here. He's not suffering any scrutiny, so he gets his mech back for free. Now the Uprising almost have taken the entire point after not having touched it at all, but they've got to follow up. The Dragon Blade from Mistakes is probably a good start, and Hagapun's down in the backline. Another Prophet Riptire goes the way of the Weary, and Prophet follows himself. Gamsu's Primal Rage cleans up the Junkrat. Cheeky Resurrect. And no, not going to be the case. Another failed attempt with Closer to bring someone back into the fight, but Note has returned. The Boston Uprising take the foot off the gas for a moment here, but straight away it's back in. You can see Note wants to try and remove Fury from the mech, and Mistakes has a bit of alone time on the point to work with. The Uprising aren't confident they have all the resources they need quite yet, Matt.
I mean, they're getting very close to Transcendence here, and they're going to have their Valkyrie, you're going to have both support ults. Hagaput does have Transcendence here. You have Prophet switch over to May for a lot of control on the point.
Prophet low on health at the moment, but the Transcendence has been brought onto the point. Both teams going to use it now, so this is a bit awkward. Neither team trying to use key cooldowns during that period of time, but now it's go time. Mistakes trying to pressure Fury down on the point there. Note's already found Jester, so already a key centerpiece. A player on London Spitfire has been taken out. And you can see Prophet's been forced into an ice block there, and now he'll be surrounded. Not fun for him, and there's no real escape at all. Boston Uprising can set up on the point. They're regaining that capture progress pretty quickly. Gesture comes in on the Doomfist, gets the D-suit on Note, who goes for the self-destruct, but that's it. Well, Boston Uprising take the point. You can see the Mistakes definitely feeling the heat. Not often that we see Boston Uprising fail to finish this map with any sort of time bank. And that's what we see now. Just got it done in overtime.
I mean, they didn't get a ton out of his Dragon Blades Mistakes, except the one at the end. You did get a support. You got Closer. You almost got Hagapun as well. Hagapun's able to actually survive on through that and pick him up. But that one kill on a Closer was enough to swing it in Boston's favor. But like you mentioned, Mitch, usually they finish this map pretty quick. Very good team here on Temple of Anubis. It's going to be a lot of pressure on defense here, especially on point A. If Mistakes is going to play that Widowmaker, if London decides to play a Widow of their own, or if they decide to dive on in.
Let's have a look at some of Mistakes' Dragon Blades, or one in particular. As it went down in that round earlier on, they're trying to pressure that second point. He goes very deep on this one to try and cut the reinforcements away, and no protection for that backline. You see the Mistakes had a chance. But Good Zenyatta will always be able to give Genji a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't, I mean, the kill onto Hagapun would have been nice, right? I mean, to get the Zen out as well.
Well, he did have Transcendence at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he had just used it. He just used it, so he used it, and then he backed up into the corner. But I mean, you would not have gotten it any faster. Even if you did get any faster, you still have no time left. So it's not really like a huge misplay there. I mean, it was a nice kill to have, but you didn't get it. You still end up taking the point, though.
So what's the setup like for the Boston Uprising? You noticed on attack, they didn't want to play Widowmaker. They sort of turned away from that one. Mistakes had the opportunity and initially had switched to it.
Yeah, I think when you see the Orisa barrier come through, a lot of teams are going to switch off of the Widowmaker on offense just because it's so difficult to break through that barrier with the Widowmaker and get a line of sight because the Widowmakers in this league so good. They're going to be behind that barrier all the time. It's going to be very difficult to connect with a hit. So you see London coming out with a dive right now. I expect them to roll with this. As soon as they see the Widowmaker, they're going to be pretty happy they were able to get this comp off the rip.
All right. All eyes are on Mistakes as Widowmaker here. And he will be needing to use that grappling hook, likely to back away to the higher ground behind if that dive comes in straight away. He's going to do that. So Striker and the rest of the team now are tasked with the job of making it very costly for London to actually get up on this first platform. See, Note's already quite deep. Keep an eye on Note's health at this stage.
And Mistakes takes that top left high ground, the one we see him on right here. I would have probably liked to see him go back
Top
to
right.
the other one because, yeah, Hooray could come right through that side and get a good flank on Tracer. Now you see him take up this position. But they've given up a lot of real estate on the map here to London.
Now everyone diving in though, and you can see Mistakes is forced to drop down to the low ground. This allows the London Spitfire onto the point itself. And Mistakes could even actually go to the the very opening archers and actually have a good line of sight over the point right now. It'd be hard for anyone to really access it except for the tanks and Genji. He drops onto the point there. He can't see what's going on and he can't help Striker in his battle against Fury. So the London Spitfire can take a breath now and try and set up, but they've allowed Striker to be brought back into the fight by Kelex.
Yeah, they res Striker.
Oh, that's big.
Oh, okay, closer on the flank here as Lucio. You're not going to be able to res this up. Striker does have a Riptire though. You're going to use the Riptire. London going to have to split off. So, oh, this is a nice Riptire. So he sees players going to the point. He knows the supports are back all the way out. He's able to get one, but Prophet on the point doing work.
Yeah, he's going absolutely hand. Kelex went down first, and the Striker was still coming out of his trance where he mind-controlled his own tires. So relatively easy pickup for him there as well. The London Spitfire break through. They take the second point, and the Uprising, with the Widowmaker Junkrat composition, eventually get unraveled.
Yeah, the Widowmaker didn't really make much of an impact there on offense. You take a look, Prophet's POVs. These are pretty easy kills for Prophet on the Genji, right? Coming on that flank, you really get the deflex right in Striker's face. This is one of the only times we'll see Mistakes play Tracer for Boston, is when they want to run Junkrat. Striker has been their Junkrat player the last 2 times we've seen them. Let's see how London decides to play this, Mitch. You're going to use Sound Barrier. That'll force out Valkyrie. Can they force out Transcendence? They do. They get the Transcendence out of Neko, so now you'll be able to use his blade.
So Striker may have gone down to the pulse bomb of Hurek. Prophet's still alive somehow. Now he's looking, he's found Mistakes. He can't quite get away. No blinks were available. Note just trying to keep a foot on the point itself because he knows the Uprising aren't in a position to commit fully to this. He's trying to avoid Prophet, but also he can't give the Genji the attention because he's working on the rest of the players on the point. Kelex, that's a no-fly zone, my man. Prophet charges in, and there was a Discord orb on him. And that's a pretty comfortable kill. The London Spitfire looking very good now. Clean dies coming back. Shades of stage 1 here for them. And they're looking solid on the point. There's no chance for the Uprising to make it there. And this may well be the Boston Uprising's first defeat on Temple of Anubis.
That was quick. Prophet able to just dart on through. London did a good job, though, of getting both of those support ults out. It's like we talked about on Boston's attack with Mistakes' Dragon Blades. You weren't able to get much of it there. No, Prophet, he only gets 1 kill, but forces Boston almost back into their spawn in that back right corner. If you're looking from the attacking side, there's nothing they could do fighting out of there. That's also one of the kind of the downfalls of this Boston team right now, right? Striker is playing that Junkrat. Can't go over to Tracer, right? Because Mistakes is playing that Tracer. You'd have to change both those players up. You lose any type of build up towards that Riptire, and the Riptire is an ultimate that's such a game changer. You don't want to reset that one back down to 0.
5 minutes, 12 seconds.
It's an eternity.
To take 1 tick of point A. So the London Spitfire really shouldn't have a problem with this. Now, the Uprising don't really change anything huge about their team composition here. So they're hoping just to try and play solid.
And we haven't seen it that much on the screen, but I think Hureg's Tracer has been very good here for the London Spitfire. I mean, 17 limbs, 9 final blows, only 3 deaths. Able to make good use of his pulse bombs as well. So I think you're seeing what he brings into the lineup, right? He can play a lot of different heroes.
Mistakes goes up for an early peek, and Prophet saw it coming a mile off there. The deflect already used as soon as he peeked out of the gate. The Uprising should understand how they were unraveled earlier on. giving that high ground over to the Spitfire really hurt them. Mistakes was forced into some pretty average sight lines. Here's Profit now. So Note is obviously the first obstacle to get past. They can sort of burst him down or force him back. They can go from there. No! It's an uncovered backline! That's not good! Prophet sees it. He sees blood in the water. And he chases it up. And Neko just gets completely mashed.
Yeah, and you see the players from Boston backing up to the point because Hureg has gotten around to that right side. And they didn't expect the players to just come darting onto the point for London that quick. Boston was not ready for that
Well,
at
here's
all.
the issue. Note was sitting over on the right-hand side, quite close. There was no one protecting the backline because Boston are running an Orisa in the middle. No one to cover the squishies. The London Spitfire identify a key weakness and immediately capitalize on it. A very sharp play from this team, and of course Prophet leading the charge in on that Genji, who's had an excellent match in general.
London as a whole looked much better on their Anubis on attack in defense than we've seen in the last few weeks. It's going to be a much tougher match than I think Boston probably would have expected.
And walk into this one, Boston, with a very favorable map record on a couple of maps. The next one, though, isn't good for them, and it's very, very good for the London Spitfire. And Barney's just around the corner, guys. This is the Overwatch League. We'll see you in a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Prophet going for the hack and slash. It's a real horror show. 2, 3, he's doing the work.
And right now, Boston, it feels like they are very much in control of the situation.
Oh, that was so close.
But Birdring shutting them down. Oh, that's 2 already. The Spitfire take flight. Oh, they're getting serious.
That's going to be a nice defense from the Boston Uprising.
Overtime. Oh, it keeps getting so close. It's the perfect start for the London Spitfire, one of their most important matches of this stage. Two teams coming in at 16 and 8 respectively, and London actually take down Boston on arguably their best map.
And this is a very good map coming up for the London Spitfire. It is
a 7-1 on it, 7-0?
Undefeated. 100% win rate on this map. It's going to be a very tough one for Boston to win. I know we saw mistakes, play a little bit of Genji there on Anubis. You're going to need to see that come out unless you want to play something like Tracer 76, Tracer McCree. Hureg in the lineup for London gives them a ton of options. You know, they could play him on a Pharah, play Prophet on Tracer. They could run him on Widow, Prophet on Tracer. They can play, he can play a lot of different heroes. So it opens up London just throw a lot of different looks that Boston probably didn't expect to see today.
And oddly enough, you know, I feel like in stage 2, a lot of people were, I don't know, they didn't feel great about the predominantly GC Busan lineup coming up in London. They said, oh, you know, that's we prefer the Kondu, you know, roster. But this one here, a lot of those GC Busan players really putting in work. With no subs, of course, coming in for this map. Hureg's Widowmaker as well. I mean, this guy in the previous map was 10 final blows, 3 deaths. So absolutely did his job and did it very well. Prophet carrying as usual in that Genji.
I mean, I feel like their team, Gesture is so good in the main tank role, and then Prophet is incredible at every hero we see him picking up. I mean, you just enable those two guys to really play their game. You're gonna rattle off a lot of wins in this league.
And that's what the London Spitfire need right now. A couple of questionable results previously in this stage. Obviously, you know, we think back to stage 1 where they were just so dominant coming into that stage finals. Well, they'd love to regain that form.
It's a lot, I feel like the Overwatch League, I mean, obviously we haven't gone to the end and had like a playoff yet and whatnot, but it's just like the NFL or NBA or any other sport, right? I mean, is anyone going to remember at the end of the year, like, who's the stage 1 or stage 2 champion? Like, it's who's playing the hottest in stage 4 into the playoffs and carry it through. It's, I know if you had a time to slump, you'd rather it be in stage 2, stage 3, right? Not have it towards the end of the year.
I think if, Hureg.
He'll be fine.
I think your perspective as a viewer changes as well the more games that are played, and I think you're starting to realize that perhaps these individual results aren't always super significant in the grand scheme of things. Here's the dive! Oh, it works well! Closer forced to back away. There's one thing Boston know how to do is to get in the face of the enemy team. Taking a pound town, as it were. However, the Spitfire are unscathed essentially so far. Note can't spend too much time on the high ground trying to chunk down Hagapun because he needs to protect his team on the point. Mistakes trying to slink away down to a sliver of health, and Hureg falls for Neko early on. Important pick up there as Neko would skit it around the backside of the point, but the Spitfire break back in just as fast. Kellex being the first one to go down, with Neko elsewhere after assassinating Hureg. There was no healing for Boston on the point.
And I really liked how Boston played that at the beginning. Really happy to watch it through Note's eyes. As he went up to the high ground, he pushed Closer back. He saw Hagapun there as well. And he knew Hagapun had to fight him pretty much, right? So then Note just starts back down to the ground because now you know both supports are broken line of sight with everybody else. So they force them out. As soon as they come out again, they jump back up, they try to force them out, but then they just get mistakes really low. And then the dive comes in from Gesture and Fury, and then they're able to just turn that weak Genji into a few kills on the side of Boston.
Here we go again. Round 2 on the dive here for the Boston Uprising. Mistakes gets very deep. Dragon Blade here. Hagapun is down. He may not have enough slashes to finish off Hureg, but it will be an easy job. He was low on health. Mistakes, that's a dash through. Good opener on the fight for Mistakes. They're getting rid of one support, taking another one low, but elsewhere on the point, this is where London are winning. They're giving up the first kills, and they're still hanging around in these fights. And half of that is on the back of someone like Closer surviving, giving that healing. Fury receives a pulse bomb, is able to shrug it off and pressure on again. Gamsu, though, it's a mid-air hit on Closer. Heads him over the fence for a home run.
And you're using these ultimates, you had no one on the points. And now they work their way back to the point. You have Kellex back with Valkyrie. London may challenge this again. They do have their Transcendence use. Gesture just gets blown up as soon as he gets to the point, though. I think you hold on to that support ult now. This is a lost cause for London.
And an easy stagger as well. There's nowhere that Hureg's going to escape, and Hago is also in deep trouble. He's run down by Striker. Closer, surely not hoping for a resurrect. Trying to get the job done. Perhaps he was trying to interrupt Kellex resurrecting Mistakes there. Let's have a look at this from Striker's perspective, though, because he picked up a brace of kills.
You see Gesture so weak as soon as he comes through. They do a nice job of eliminating both tanks. Not able to make much progress after that. Mistakes getting close to another Dragon Blade here as Hureg switches from Widowmaker to McCree, trying to deal with these flankers a bit better.
Striker trying to stay very quiet. It's not uncommon for a Genji or a Tracer to try and head over this way. Hureg has switched to the McCree now. Just maybe not a huge surprise, but definitely very juicy bait for the Uprising if they want to try and dive there on the Cowboy. Respectable distance for Striker right now. And another Dragon Blade for mistakes. He farmed that up quickly, didn't he? Hagu down once again. History repeats itself, and now some free damage on Fury, who will be desuited very quickly. London's capacity now to try and hold off the Uprising severely limited with the loss of that D.Va mech, and Gesture might be in trouble himself.
Yeah, they jumped in, got Hagapun to use his Transcendence, then backed out a little bit, then Mistakes was able to use the Blade, but Gesture with Primal Rage takes out Note. You have Prophet in the backline who takes out Neko. As Gesture is just extending this fight more for London. London would have gotten in a little bit more trouble there. You could have had Valkyrie come out. London has done a really nice job today, Mitch, of using these ultimates.
Brilliant from Gesture. I have to agree with you, Matt. I mean, he's using the Primal Rage to get back to his team, but on the way through, gets a free kill on Notice. He smashes him midair. Very clever. Now, Prophet thought about a little bit of a flank around the side. A couple of orbs sent his way, indicating that Neko is aware of his presence. But he'll have a pulse bomb to bring into this fight. Slap it down! No one ate it up, and he doesn't actually get the stick, so not really amount to much, but this Deadeye could be quite nasty. The D.Va mech actually just got released, so a good opportunity for Hureg, and yeah, Mistakes goes down. Fury was busy resuiting, as was Note at that time. Now Hureg and Mistakes both brought back to life, and Mistakes is yet another Dragon Blade, but the flash comes in, and Fury follows up. It might not have been enough for Hureg to get the kill on Mistakes, but he was backed up by his D.Va player. And now Striker's trying to find his next target. What a stick! Straight in towards Closer, not a thing he could do about it. And this will be Hureg getting pushed back. Gamsu now doing a lot of heavy lifting with that Winston.
Yeah, you still have Fury and Prophet alive here, though, for London. Hagapun does have Transcendence if you need it. This Prophet just trying to stall us out a little bit. Gesture back as well. They're going to invest into this. London wants to hold here.
Mistakes just got smashed. He just returned to the fight and got pulse bombed immediately by Prophet. And Striker realizes now, without that additional firepower the Cyber Soldier could bring, they've got to back away. A very important place to hold now for the London Spitfire.
You know, Boston does still have here, though, a minute 26 remaining. You have a big advantage in terms of ultimates. You're going to get Transcendence in Valkyrie faster. No ultimates here for London. I mean, they'll probably get Primal Rage, but you should be able to win this. It's going to be costly, though, for Boston. I think you try and hold on to one of these support ults, right? You use both of them, then you're going into that final stage, not much time, and then you're going to be behind the support ultimates. You may not get a great chance at it. Nice defense matrix used there from Fury.
Straight in the bin with that one. Fury then goes straight onto the payload and sets a self-destruct into stall. Hureg Deadeye? Nothing to be found from that one. Barely forces Boston away.
Yeah, but Boston uses Transcendence, and then they just kind of back up, so they didn't get anything for Transcendence. They use Valkyrie now as well. You may be able to, and now you're giving London both support ultimates here, as they're going to be able to come back in with Valkyrie and Transcendence. Oh, not anymore.
Valkyrie in, but Mistakes is cutting him down, Matt. Fury runs headlong at him, and not having the Transcendence from Hago, who went down early in the fight, means that it's going to be hard to deal with attack.
It's such a big kill there. You know, if Hagapun's able to stay alive, they probably use another support ultimate. They invest pretty heavy into the fight. Now, if you're Boston, you know coming in that Hagapun's going to have Transcendence. You can kind of withstand that, then you come back with both your support ultimates. It's just trying to get the payload around the corner here. They can't get stuck underneath this underpass, because then you have to invest so many ultimates just to get it past this corner. And then you don't really have, with how good the spawn advantage is, a great opportunity to finish the map.
Just taking probably more damage than he otherwise would have liked to, and you can see he even uses the jump to get away, but Hureg, sharp, very sharp Striker. It's picked out again. McCree's very good at punishing that more aggressive positioning. Players like Tracer to get too cocky. And that forces Boston into a full-scale rout, which is not what they want here. Now they have to pass through this area to even try and get back onto the payload and pressure it. And Prophet's just giving it a shove back the way it came.
We usually don't see that happen to Striker too often, right? Just get picked off moving around. He's one of the Tracers in the league who always finishes with very low amount of deaths, wins or losses, right?
That's what I'm saying about Hureg, man. Bringing that hit scan prowess in, it's definitely not a huge downgrade, if at all. Transcendence Force, look at that. Hureg manages to put Mistakes in such a position. He's calling out for the healing. But Gesture's dropped down. Fury now being healed on the payload, but will have to run away, and the Pulse Bomb stuck on in. No connection. Maybe Note took a bit of damage from that one, but another Tactical Visor yielding results from Mistakes.
It's a fake tack visor because Closer uses Valkyrie and he's not able to get around the corner and heal up Fury, and then they're able to get the D-Mech on a Fury. This Closer will go on here towards the end. London will get a touch. You're going to have Primal Rage here for Gamsu. He should be able to do a lot of damage with this.
Ana, yeah, okay, interesting pick. Good sleep on Gamsu. He should be okay if he's damaged to wake up. Prophet can't do too much. He'll attempt to burst him down, but he has a Primal Rage, and Gamsu takes it straight downtown. Fury does manage to get resuited despite taking a lot of damage and gestures in deep. He finds Neko, and Hagopun gets on towards that Zenyatta. Perfect response from the London Spitfire, and the aggression is just perfect. Measured in their approach. Hureg is blown up, but I think he's going to be fine here for the London Spitfire. Strike will throw himself at this one to try and make a difference, but it'll be warded away by the rest of the Spitfire. Failure to complete for the Uprising.
And in that final fight, Hureg wins a big 2v1. He's actually got Neko and Mistakes right on him. He's able to take out Mistakes and then stay alive long enough. He's got really no support until Hagopun gets over, and then they're able to take out Neko. It's a really nice play from Hureg. Able to win those engagements and then move on back towards that payload. Able to pick up some more. Really impressed with his play today.
Vastly improved performance from both of Boston's DPS players on this map, as opposed to the previous one. Striker there looking pensive. Definitely frustration for the Uprising to come so close and actually execute a very good dive onto the payload just prior to the end of the map.
I mean, you can't be too upset if you're Boston. I mean, you made a ton of progress. So we can see this is Hureg towards the end. So he's got Mistakes and Neko right here. He gets Mistakes weak, and just does a nice job of working his way back. He's going to get the D-Mech there. Really nice positioning on McCree, a hero who we see get dived pretty often. He doesn't have a ton of mobility, able to work his way back to the team.
You got to love the presence of mind that Hureg has there to opt out of a duel against Neko that he's probably about to win. Neko was a one-shot to him. Instead, he backs away to the team and starts to add his damage into removing those tanks. And then Hagopun finishes off the kill for him. Probably tough for some McCree players not to try and put that yoke on their own shoulders and carry the game, as we know a lot of players in the Overwatch League, tend to do. Try and, especially on losing teams, try and bring things back under their control. So credit to Hureg there. Good discipline on McCree.
On defense here for Boston, Mistakes will play Soldier 76. You're going to see him set up on the high ground. They're bringing in Ana here, so Neko will play Ana on defense. We usually see a decent amount of Ana play on defense here because when the dive comes in towards the back, like we usually see where Neko is positioning, a Biotic Grenade will go down. You'll deny a lot of healing that comes in. And if London's going to run that Moira, that's really all the sources of their healing. If they get hit with a Biotic Grenade, it's going to be a lot of trouble for London.
So Noah's playing forward. It's possible that he wanted to eat a bunch of Helix rockets and give the healing over towards Kellex. Give him an early Valkyrie. But we'll see the standard set up on the high ground now. And Hureg, you can see that Gesture tries to drop up, and now the rest of the Spitfire is sitting on the point. Hureg would love to hack Striker, though, not allowing him to do that. And now the Spitfire are being bundled now into this close quarters area. Not great for them considering Striker and Mistakes are at large, and that Helix rocket could prove devastating. Hureg pulls the pin.
It's a really nice play, though, from London. They wanted to get the tanks of Boston to dive on in, and then he was trying to get a hack on Gamsu, so then it would have forced the supports back out onto the point, right? You would have been able to pick up some players, but not able to complete any of those hacks.
Oh, Mistakes is in deep trouble. Can he sprint away? No! He ran headlong into Hagopun anyway. It would have been curtains for the 76 regardless. Prophet's very close to another pulse bomb, and that will be the one aimed at Gamsu, no doubt. Want to remove the Winston as soon as possible now with Node off the table. Pulse bomb dropped in, but he gets taken out. Gamsu was there, receiving the Biotic Grenade, healing. And Jester now quickly being attended to by his backline. Striker can't do a heck of a lot from that position there. And I can tell he has a pulse bomb. Neko with that, also with that nano booster. I don't really know where we're going to be headed this time. Mistakes is trying to do something from off of the point here, Matt, but it looks like it's a struggle for the Boston Uprising to break back in.
Oh, and it's going to be Hureg with an EMP. He actually got a hack on Gamsu there, so wasn't actually able to get back to the supports because, Gesture and Closer pushed them all the way back into the top left staircase. They weren't able to see much. I believe you saw the nano boost go on to Striker there just because he's the only person that Neko can see at that moment in time.
The hack also managed to connect with Kellex and Note, so a very big EMP from Hureg. Nothing really the Boston Uprising could have done from that position, playing from not only a man disadvantage, but also not being able to press buttons on their keyboards aside from moving around. Not fun.
Hureg will switch to McCree. So you go into the second stage of the map.
Okay, I like this. You either dive him or you get shredded at long range. Neko always in danger. I think Mistakes wanted to drop back and throw a Biotic field for him there, but the London Spitfire had already caught up with the backline of the Uprising. Mistakes can't even get a break here. He's trying to get away from Prophet. He's sitting on top of that mini health pack. Prophet is just relentless, and Hagopun, what was that? What was that? Unbelievable! One-man army! Disgusting!
Just shouting him different phrases here.
What is this?
We'll see it from his perspective.
Oh my god.
Throwing shapes, man.
Oh my god!
That is filthy stuff. Just the headshots. It's such a satisfying noise when you're hitting them on set.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. Absolutely incredible, and the Spitfire are not done there. Trying to pick my jaw back off the ground and use it to talk ain't easy. Second checkpoint coming up for London.
You know what's kind of funny there as well? When we're watching Hagapun, he uses the Transcendence. Node actually uses a self-destruct, and Gesture's pretty weak. And the explosion from the self-destruct actually kind of propels Hagapun forward, closer to Gesture to keep him alive. Sometimes things just don't work out.
And people thought Bedosian would be the better pick today. I don't know, man. This guy is he's going off.
So you look at the deaths per 10 minutes for supports, and Hagapun actually dies less per 10 minutes on that Zenyatta than Bedosian. I think it's just like those big plays we see from Bedosian all the time that get us all excited to see him in the game.
Ureg with a Deadeye now. And Gesture as well, close to the Primal Rage. Primal Rage Deadeye is definitely an option. Neko's down already, it's time! Ureg coming forward, gets a flash on Gamsu as he tries to ascend. It's gonna stop him. Won't prevent him from covering the payload with that shield though, and Gamsu has to use the Primal Rage. He misses the door. And just to stay alive and stop the inexorable tide of the Spitfire, the Uprising finally shake themselves free and have a moment just to try and recollect themselves.
Yeah, but they have to use Valkyrie, Tactical Visor, and Primal Rage to do it, Mitch. I mean, you have just Transcendence in the next fight. Look at London. I mean, you're going to have, you used Primal Rage from Gesture, but you've earned yourself Valkyrie, Transcendence, Deadeye, a Pulse Bomb, and you're going to have a Self-Destruct. So you have a ton of zoning capabilities with the Self-Destruct in the Deadeye to get the payload around the corner, and then both support ults and a Pulse Bomb to bring it home.
Mistakes is in trouble, they're pressuring him. Force the Transcendence out now, and Prophet's thinking about it, but Hurek comes in. Nothing better to cut through the Trans. Then, of course, that Deadeye. Close it. Trying to keep Hurek up, and Striker's head just gets plucked. It's William Tell kind of stuff over here. And that self-destruct is going to be very easy to avoid. Just break line of sight with a payload, and a Spitfire hurtling home. Such a great map for them now, punctuated by incredible individual performances. Mistakes can't get anything done. Yes, the Pulse Bomb from Striker connects on Prophet, but it's only one person take it out. Gamsu throws himself at the payload now, and over the top you can see the healing still coming in. Striker on that left-hand side. Prophet is brought back into the fight by Closer just to make it even more of a crushing advantage for London. Hagapun was removed from the fight, so no Mavericks and Zenyatta antics for the next few seconds, and Gesture drops in. Telex can't get away, back on his signature Lucio now. Hurek forward, and that's it. Look at that man! Is that the face of a Stone Cold Killer? Yeah, it is.
And you look at Hureg, I mean, 26% of overall team damage, had a very good game for the London Spitfire playing McCree. So Hagapun come alive on Zenyatta. You know, mistakes on the other side for Boston. Doesn't have a bad game. He does 30% of hero damage for the Boston Uprising there on Soldier 76 primarily. Just Boston not able to hold on to Nabani.
Astounding. This play from Hagapun will go down for quite some time. What a match it's been so far. After the break, we'll hear from the desk on what has transpired.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Well, the Boston Uprising used to be undefeated on Anubis, but not anymore because London is not playing the games. We may be playing a game on the stage, but they ain't playing a game in the game of life. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if any of that made sense.
I don't know what you're saying, Golden Boy.
I'm just saying things. Anyway, welcome back to the half, everyone. London Spitfire are up 2-0. and hey, you know what? I'm gonna just come on and say it. We had the general manager of London Spitfire, Susie, come around here. Yeah. And she told you, Sideshow, that you betrayed your countrymen.
She did, yeah. And she said, you know, who won those maps? Who won those maps? I said, who's about to get reverse swept? Right? But
dear.
London have looked a lot better, actually. I'm really surprised that they were able to take Anubis. We've been looking at London's play recently and thinking, boy, these guys look uncoordinated. They look like they're in a bit of a slump. Tell you what, there was no shred of that in this match. They were fast, they were decisive, they were running Lucio at times and going incredibly aggressive. As you see, they're closer. They broke the point A on their aggression and were able to snowball through. Their defense was good. Everything about London looked like they were playing
there's really no way to expect this, right? We saw Hureg come out on the Tracer, and he's the third choice DPS player for the London Spitfire. We can't expect him to just come out of the gate and perform as he did, because his Widowmaker was stellar, and then he played the Tracer as well, filled the shoes while the Prophet hammered away on the Junkrat. Yeah, so really, this is a different London Spitfire, and I don't really think we've seen this stage so far. So they could get going with a win here.
What I love is that they're playing fast and aggressive. And the Boston Uprising, they like to take their time. They like to set up defenses or set up offenses, really focus on great positioning. And then when they're all ready and they're all set up, boom, then they attack. And their timing and execution are great when they get set up. But London Spitfire are constantly in their face. They got pressure from Gesture, from Prophet, from the aggressive Lucio speed boost. They don't know how to deal with it right now. They're on the back foot and they're reeling.
So I understand you also have a play that you wanted to break down as well.
Yes, this was the point B push from the London Spitfire, and it all happened, it was such a blur that I couldn't really focus on what happened. But what you see here is the Closer is running the Lucio, so sound barrier straight into the back. That forces out Neko's Transcendence way earlier. Look at Hagapyun. He can hold on to his trance for a huge amount of time. And now London Spitfire have managed to escort their entire team to the point, push Boston Uprising away, and then they have the Transcendence and the Blade to be able to come through. So just the fact that they're not running the Mercy and they're playing this much faster, aggressive style also gives them a big defensive ultimate to use. Then Gesture with the Primal Rage at the end. Everything worked perfectly. It was a great snowball.
It's pretty much identical to what we saw Florida Mayhem do versus the Boston Uprising. You get out both the support ultimates, and then you're pretty much set.
Yeah.
You got a great opening.
Great game plan.
Yeah, for sure it worked. For the second time, 2 games.
Hey man, 60% of the time, it
works
every time. So that's it.
That's a bit like the map stats that we had coming in. 100% of the time, London Spitfire win some percentage of the time on both maps. So,
well, here's the thing though. The stats say that the London Spitfire are a dominant squad on Numbani, and guess what? They did not disappoint as we move forward to map 2. And one player in particular that I know you wanted to talk about was Prophet as well, but this whole team played well.
Yeah, just the DPS in general for London Spitfire. Once again, it's Hureg coming out on this McCree, and I think this was a bit unexpected as well, because we saw Saibiobi play the McCree from New York versus Boston Uprising. It didn't really work for New York then, but now it works for the London Spitfire, and I think it is to what you pointed out earlier, Josh, that they're London Spitfire, they're playing a bit faster, so they're pressuring Boston Uprising, and they make it hard to shut down Hureg on that McCree. So Hureg gets so much work done, and I mean Hagapun gets work done as well, because
that was just
the Boston Uprising, they can't really reach the backline, and as such, the DPS and Hagapun from the London Spitfire have so much more room to work with.
London Spitfire have a very unique style. They like to play aggressive with Gesture and Prophet, even when they have a passive DPS like a McCree or like a Soldier. So they just leave Gesture and Prophet and they like run with them really deep into the backline. And at the moment, Boston are crumbling, because when this pressure normally comes in against the NYXL, when Sabiobi and Janus tried the same thing, Neko was winning those 2v2s. He was having a really great performance and shut down Sabiobi. At the moment, Gesture and Prophet are running wild in the backline of the Boston Uprising, and they just cannot deal with it at all. So that's a big focus for them moving forwards across these maps. They have to maybe put Striker on dueling duty and focus on man-marking Prophet and take him out of the fights. They need to make some mid-time adjustments to come forward, but they could potentially reverse sweep this. I know I said it in jest earlier, but they are favored on the control
you literally
map.
said they would reverse sweep.
Okay.
I'm going to hold that literally, Josh.
Well, when it happens, I'm going to look like a magician, aren't I?
Yeah, I guess you will. And as we know, people from the UK are all magicians.
That's true.
What?
They're all wizards.
Bren
is this some Harry Potter thing?
Yes, it is, and I'm glad you got it. Okay, so Reinforce, you want to change your prediction? Do you think Boston is going to win this one still? You committed?
I think the London Spitfire will win. I'm
okay, flip-flopper.
Bren, I summon your energy. I'm the prophet
Pull the
now.
Bren.
I'm the prophet now.
Okay.
The Oracle.
The Oracle.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Prophet's playing up there.
Prophet.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your insight. And boy, what a match this has been thus far. London Spitfire currently up in this series. Can the Boston Uprising find a way to rally back and make the reverse sweep happen? That is the question. So before we go, I mean, gentlemen, this has just been a great game. And as you all know, we have Ilios and Junkertown coming up next. So the possibility is certainly there. Plenty more Overwatch action coming up after this. You don't want to miss it.
Listen up, League fans, because the Shoutcasters need your help crowning the first T-Mobile Overwatch League MVP. Let your voice be heard. Cast your vote now on Twitter with hashtag OWLMVP and your player's battle tag.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One half down in our second match of the day, and the London Spitfire currently hold a 2-0 lead over the Boston Uprising. They look like a reinvigorated team. They're much more calculated, much more aggressive, and it's definitely showing in their play. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this second half pans out, because the Boston Uprising are actually really good on control maps. And, you know, Overwatch is a game of momentum, so if they're going to turn this match around, it is now that they will do that. Anyways, guys, it is Match Point London. Can the Uprising bring it back to a map 5? Let's find out right now and send it over to our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
Yeah, thanks, Malik. You're looking really small over there, bro. I've got to say, though, he's right. Control is where Boston can bring this back. I mean, it's got to be a reverse sweep at this stage, and that's just a titanic task against a team who doesn't seem to be having many flaws today.
I mean, they've looked very good with Hureg in the lineup. I think, obviously, Birdring is such a superstar DPS player, but I think when you can dedicate some more healing resources over to Gesture and Prophet, and then Hureg can just sit in the back on the McCree, right? Or just Widowmaker, and just don't really have to worry about kind of aiding him as much, potentially. Not really worrying about him just popping off. You're really trying to make those other two players, Gesture and Prophet, really the ones that do the work. You start to see they can put together a really strong dive.
Yeah, I can see now. I think it's such an interesting thought, like how resources are committed across a team and, where the emphasis is. I mean, and this as well, maybe Prophet and Hureg, much more used to obviously playing in tandem from the old days. Much has changed, obviously, with the London Spitfire roster since then, but we can see both of them now are just kicking it.
And the supports here, obviously, Haga putting it closer, they've played with the majority of this team in the past. So you have a good idea of when Hureg will need that assistance, when you can kind of leave Gesture and Prophet on their own to do some things. Big Widowmaker battle here on Ruins. Mistakes versus Hureg. See who comes out on top. I think Striker's had a really tough day in terms of Tracer play going up against either it's Prophet or Hureg. I think both those players are giving him trouble.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, Matt, Striker went 13-5 in the previous map.
Pretty good.
Mistakes, 8-13. I'll just put it out there right now. He has definitely not been the kind of player that's allowing Boston to dominate in the DPS department, which they often in the past have done.
They're going to have to play a different play style, Boston. I think moving forward, but
like what?
I mean, kind of how they're seeing London play against them right now, right? I mean, you kind of run the same thing.
So emphasize a more of a, more across both DPS instead of having one sort of superstar flashy guy?
Yeah, and there's a lot of time left in the season, for argument's sake. Maybe Striker can pick up some different heroes. Maybe Striker can play like Widowmaker in the future, and then Mistakes can play Tracer, something he's a little bit more comfortable to, like his best hero, so to speak.
That's definitely where he sort of began from. Playing on Team Russia in the World Cup. Does connect with Hureg now. It's going to force him to take the Mega.
And he takes out Prophet as well.
Good.
Mistakes picking up a big kill on that Tracer that eliminates a lot of the pressure on him in the supports. Now you see how much more damage he's put down than Hureg thus far. 62% to Infrasight versus 28.
This is kind of what we need to see from him. If you're a Boston Uprising fan, you hope that he can continue to carry this out.
To be fair, on the previous map, he did have 30% of overall team damage on 76. He's just doing a lot of damage to players and that's not able to finish them off.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily always going to be his job on that map as well.
No.
It should be setting up Striker and Gamsu to finish those kills to a degree. Helix Rocket is great for that, but it doesn't have it all the time, obviously. So see, Striker's been very busy, but Gamsu goes a little bit too deep and is removed by Prophet. I don't know if that's resurrectable. No, I think it's a little bit too deep. Helix is going to opt not to really get involved, and Mistakes goes down. Hago again! However, Striker quickly fires back. With Gesture missing, Fury now has to be the front line, the instigator. Mistakes is brought back to life, so a lot of threat now with the Widowmaker.
Boston should be able to hold on to this for a little bit longer, though. There's a pulse bomb from Striker. On a Gesture, Kellex using Valkyrie, keeping everybody alive. And those 3 kills should allow Boston to hold on to the point. Now you get into this dangerous territory for London. They're 62% and counting. You'll probably, if where this next fight goes down, get up to 75, 78%. As Fury, he gets staggered out pretty long. So maybe even more than that, right? You're going to get close to 80% over for Boston here. Even if you lose the point, it puts you in that 1-fight territory.
This guy on the screen now, his 2 kills for the round have been on Prophet and Hureg. Definitely doing what needs to be done. Infrasight there, you'll notice he might hold on to it. Now, sometimes you hold on to it in case the enemy Widow uses it, but Mistakes probably realizes that he's been keeping Hureg under control. And Hureg is a long way away from his infra.
He had used it already.
Yep. So it's definitely out of sync, so Mistakes doesn't need to use it to answer. Furious out on the point there, discorded by Neko. He can just go to 1-for-1, forces that self-destruct. He can't break line of sight though, but doesn't take the full damage from the blast. Backing away, of course, and remaining alive. And look at this Boston Uprising, but such a good round. They've been in control. Hagaput goes down to Mistakes. It's going to be Gesture to try and throw himself at this one, and now the Transcendence comes out. Boston makes sure they don't lose any players here and stay strong.
And on this point, you needed to see this if you're a Boston Uprising fan. Mistakes absolutely dominating the Widowmaker battle here against Hureg. That'll give Boston Uprising that first point. Mistakes, 56% scoped accuracy there, 13% crit. He has 6 final blows, only 1 death. Hureg on the other side, no eliminations, no final blows, 2 deaths. Only shooting 34% scope accuracy. Obviously, much harder to play the Widowmaker going into the opposing Widowmaker when they have control on the point.
Yes. A well-deserved smile for Mistakes there. Excellent round from him. Also Neko, by the way. 7 eliminations, 5 final blows, 0 deaths on the Zenyatta here for Boston. Very, very solid.
And you see on the screen here that I'm looking at, but Mistakes playing Sombra right now. Surprised we haven't seen this earlier. Statistically, so far in Stage 3, he's like #1 in everything for Sombra players. Very good.
Statistically, Sombra is one of the least played DPSs. I've not seen that much from him recently. We thought she'd dominate, but it hasn't been the case.
Not as much. You can probably put Sombra to pretty good use here, right? The Mega Health Pack inside, you can hack the one that we just saw.
Controlling that mini is more important. Because that makes enemy flankers having to back away from the point to get help.
And the tanks can't just keep like darting out, getting there, jumping back in if you want to stall that out. So you mentioned a very important health pack to control.
Makes you feel like the Boston just want to fight on the point. I like that approach there. Force London to come to them, and Hureg has already met his fate. Neko opens up the proceedings once again. Another notch in the belt for him. 6 final blows over this map. Just a different team right now we're seeing for the Boston Uprising. That halftime break definitely paid off.
So, they probably decided to work on, maybe switch up some comps, right? Maybe they had some ideas coming into the series, seeing Hureg in and playing, a different role than Birdering usually plays. Maybe, now they've decided, hey, let's just put a lot of emphasis on Gesture or Prophet, right? Because those 2 guys are just running crazy all over them in our first 2 maps. Right now, you can't really even look at it, right? London as a team only has 2 kills effectively. It doesn't really tell you much in stats.
Can't read into it yet. Not enough sample size. That's not a good thing either, though. Oh, there we go. Gamsu lands right in front of Prophet. He's gifted a very simple pulse bomb target, and Note now gets that D-suit. Somehow, Kellex sneaks in and gets a resurrect on Gamsu there. So the Winston is back for the Uprising, and he doesn't peel immediately back to the point, though, which is what I find interesting. He remains fighting over in the middle of the map to try and remove people like Hureg and Hago, and he and Striker have dispatched both of them. Interesting, very more aggressive play from Gamsu post-res.
And they were playing aggressive because Mistakes was able to get 2 hacks onto the supports. Uses an EMP here. Gesture not able to use Primal Rage as Striker takes him out. Gamsu now going to use his Primal Rage as Boston is able to turn this around, Mitch. Note on the point with a self-destruct. You have Neko coming back off of spawn with a Transcendence. Hureg using Deadeye, just trying to, not really going to get much with it. He did have Prophet pick up Gamsu here with this pulse bomb, but still a lot of ultimates here for Boston to be able to hold on to this point.
Boston is stalling the point. They don't need any encouragement to hide away and sit on the point itself. So Hureg's Deadeye doesn't actually change the game state very much at all. They're still stalling. London is still trying to get access, and now the rest of Boston have returned to the fray. Gamsu's off to Hureg's left here. So we'll see how he wants to try and enter the fight. Gamsu is flanking on that Winston. He jumps in the backside here. The hack is big. Hureg can't do anything about it. Striker finds him, but a lot of players from Boston have already fallen here. Now we're going to see the jump on in. Fury does move pretty comfortably now. It's just Mistakes lingering.
They put themselves in an incredible position, though, Boston, to take this map.
It looks sick, right?
Get it up to 99%. Kellex getting close to Valkyrie. Valkyrie will be available for closer, but Mistakes on Sombra has made a big difference. 4 enemies EMP'd. 6 enemies hacked during that. He's doing a nice job of getting in the back. He's hacking the supports for Prophet, not allowing Prophet to get back to the rest of his team on Tracer, bringing those supports out a little bit further.
You can see that Strike is having a much bigger round now because getting towards those targets and removing them is far easier than Mistakes has paved the way for him. It's the classic 1-2 punch that we're seeing now on this new patch. Hureg again, a Deadeye. Forced to positioning, almost gets smashed by Neko, but Prophet's going ham. Note Mistakes are already down. Prophet has another pulse bomb, which he's mostly been using to remove Gamsu from the fight. Doesn't need it this time though. Just 3 calls on out, and Boston have to back away.
And this next fight probably comes down to, Hagapun's positioning versus Mistakes. Needs to not get caught by this EMP so you can get a use of Transcendence. Transcendence will keep everybody alive through that EMP. If he gets hit with that, you would have everybody on London to lose their abilities and potentially not able to use the Transcendence, and Transcendence available for Boston. It'd be very difficult for them to lose that fight if that scenario were to happen.
I think some of the spray of fire from Fury at long range actually revealed Mistakes. He's done it again. That's so clever. Obviously, he does no damage at that range with D.Va and the auto cannons, but you can reveal a Sombra as long as you just get some damage tag on it. So Mistakes is getting frustrated now. because his Translocator's about to expire. He's going to have to go in for the EMP, and he gets it now. It's going to be Fury and Hurek get hacked up for the time being. Hagapin still got the Transcendence off, but it might not make a difference. Gamsu forces Hagapin out of line of sight. Gesture's also made good use of his Primal Rage, though, but Gamsu wants him in a Hurek, and he gets it. Right up close, no escaping from that one. Might have been lucky to be alive so far, Jesse McCree, but not this time. It's back to Santa Fe with you, and Hagapin going to get punched out. They're Boston Uprising, wake up! And they make a series of this now. It's 2-1. Boston keep themselves alive.
And Gesture did all he could there, Mitch. He's able to actually take out Echo, push him off the side before he could use Transcendence. So Boston didn't get a use out of that big support ultimate, but it doesn't matter. Mistakes looked much better there on the Widowmaker in the Sombra. And that's what you need to see for him if Boston's going to force a Game 5.
I just love that. You know, Mistakes didn't actually get a final blow in that last round. They didn't have to. The EMPs, the hacks set it all up, and Boston Uprising start to get their ducks in a line and see if they can keep that going after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Let's get it.
We got a packed house here in the Blizzard Arena.
Oh! It's time. Oh!
Zoom takes him out.
Gamsu gonna go Primal Raid. Hobie comes in.
4K, more hydration.
And now Jester can go to town.
Libero getting all the kills right now. It's crunch time.
They need to be ready to bring out the A game.
They've got such incredible talent in this roster, and they are not holding back.
Oh, here we go. Who would have thought this would be so close?
No way. Yes, it's happening. All the good stuff.
I'll have to admit, Matt, I was a little bit worried coming into half-time that this match might not really go all the distance or show us what Boston have been capable of recently. But they're bringing back on Ilios there. Quite a commanding performance. A lot of key players coming back into the fray and lighting up.
Yeah, and I think with mistakes starting to pop off a little bit on the Widowmaker, you give yourself a fighting chance going into this final map on Junkertown, right? A lot of this map determines on the offensive side how well your Widowmaker's playing. Some subs that come in for the London Spitfire. It's going to be Bedoshin who comes in for Hagupin, Nuss will come in for Closer, and then they have Wuyal who will come in for Fury.
Big switches up, Matt. Discuss this with me now as well. We have a change in Diva, we have a change in support.
It could be if you want to play a triple tank on offense, maybe you want to play triple tank on defense, change some things up. Maybe you feel better as Nuss as a solo support as opposed to Closer, and then maybe Bedoshin plays a little bit of tanks other than Hagupin, so maybe you want to change things up in that regard. Maybe you want to run Bastion, right? You've been practicing something. So I think Junkertown we see a variety of strategy. It's just a lot of...
We see a spectrum of stage 1 and kind of newer approaches to the map.
It's a map that you can get by with a solo support, at least for that first stage, for an extended period of time.
Just keep your main supported.
It's one of the maps that we see a lot of the flex supports being able to switch off of their supports and play something else, right? I mean,
it could be Bastion, it could also be a Roadhog, for example.
That's where players like Rockets, who can play stuff like Soldier 76 or Roadhog, come into play. Shaz, we've seen him play some Genji.
Neko will play Bastion on this map quite happily.
It's where you see having a flex support who can also move into other roles definitely pay off.
It's just a map that plays out, unlike any of the other ones really in this pool in general, man.
It's point A. There's just, I mean, think of all the Overwatch maps in general, and just think of how much open space there is on Junkertown here on point A. There's nothing else like it. It's a very difficult map to play from the defensive side of things. One pick, let's say for argument's sake, it's Hureg on Widowmaker, right, on offense, or whether it's mistakes on offense for Boston on the Widowmaker, one pick just kind of snowballs the entire map. And then if the other team's running, Bastion, let's say, on that payload, just that one pick, and then there's really no way you can react after that.
Snowball effects have happened. I think the last time that we really saw a Bastion really work out was quite recently. Was the Gladiators against the Valiant on this map, who crushed the Valiant in all fairness. But we were concerned. We thought, oh, they got a Bastion here. Shaz gets hooked off the payload, but he's being pocketed the whole time. The enemy Roadhog's trying to kill him. It's just not working. He just hangs out and then gets 4 kills. So it's still viable to bring the Bastion in here. It's just that some attacking teams don't fancy it as much.
So you see London set up on defense, so they will have Bedoshin play Roadhog. So you wanted him to come into the game for potentially his Roadhog play. On offense, if you wanted to, you can run the double supports, and then Wuyal could play Roadhog if you wanted to run Roadhog Orisa, or if you wanted to just run the dive, you could have him play Diva. So it gives them a little bit more flexibility here, London, bringing in this lineup.
A little bit of a shot there of the chalkboard inside the spawn, which details Junkrats and Roadhog's plan for getting the goods. Yes, it includes the word profit, because that's what these people are out there to do, steal some stuff. That's what these guys are out here to do. In the Overwatch League, all about trying to get themselves all the way to the top. And the London Spitfire, it's been a while since they've been a stage champion, all the way back in stage 1. They've waxed, they've waned. But now they're looking to go from strength to strength. And Neko has switched to the Bastion, or he's playing that one now. Not a shocker. Let's see how they play around this, because the Valiant might be wanting to take some notes.
And sometimes you see on offense, you have a triple tank with Bastion, double sniper with the Bastion. Striker's going to play Roadhog here, going to play Junkrat. So there's a ton of shield breaking ability from the Boston Uprising.
That technical term?
What?
Shield breaking ability?
No, not really. I mean, it's just kind of letting you know they're going to be able to shred through the shields pretty quickly, Mitch. Don't really get into the whole, like you're just using these words that probably aren't even words.
Well, I think less is more. It's always about seeing how many words that I can make up and people just assume are real words. That's always fun. So mistakes. Straight down the barrel here is hoping to try and work his way around that Orisa barrier. Just having none of it. You see when the barrier went down? Well, the defense matrix from Wuyal was there. Neko has been removed. So this will be Boston probably stalling out a little bit now. Losing their battering ram, as it were. Yeah, not having any of it.
And this is where things start to get sideways when you run the Bastion, is that now you've kind of committed to this. You have to change a lot to go away from it. He's not on the payload, so he's just kind of dancing around, getting tagged with shots. You have to try and figure out a way you can put him in position. I'm surprised that London is letting him go all the way around, knowing that they have the infra sight, but they're going to use the Riptire.
Over the top.
Ooh. Don't get anything.
Nicely done. Mistakes there with as much finesse as required.
But look at how much space now they've given Boston. I'm surprised you rotated all the way around this way if you're London. Now you give actually the opportunity to get set up behind the shield.
This is dangerous. Real going to get chunked through by Neko. He was given a chance to set up. Probably not going to be a resurrect there. His corpse was far too close to the Bastion, and you can see that Neko is out for blood.
And this is such an important match for both teams, Mitch, in the overall playoff race. We haven't really hit on that a lot, right? Because, oh, we're only in stage 3, but we're getting much closer as Striker uses a Riptire. Both of these teams right now are 16-8. So the loser of this obviously goes to 16-9. That is the same record as the Valiant, and the Valiant are in 6th place, holding on to that final playoff spot. And the Houston Outlaws are 14-11 right behind, and Houston has a, I know, fairly easy schedule to the rest of stage 3, so you expect them to rack up some wins.
Absolutely.
This is a big match for both of these teams.
Bear in mind, the Valiant are undefeated so far in stage 3.
And they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon either. So
it's on for young and old in that bracket of, between 14 and 17 wins.
Oh, you look for, these two teams in Seoul Dynasty right now, they need to put together a lot of good games for the rest of stage 3. Give themselves some breathing room.
All right, Hureg gets a shot on Mistakes, who is brought back to life, and Neko's down. The terror that is Bastion has finally been quelled. The payload won't move any further for the time being now that Widowmaker is starting to have an impact. Hureg with 4 final blows, so he's definitely been doing work. Definitely top amount of kills on his particular team. And, Neko, managed to amass 37% of his team's damage on Bastion. Love to see it.
He actually gives up his configuration tank to go play Zen. So,
yeah, okay, so gives up pretty key ultimate.
I mean, I think knowing that Riptire's on the other side, you're probably going to dive that anyway. And I think now at least, you give yourself a little bit of an opportunity to build up towards Transcendence, as Minocean being pretty sneaky here. He's going to wait for a nice hook there.
He stole the kill! Real! Rude! Regardless, Minocean's able to follow up and remove Neko. That was that self-destruct that actually removed the player that was hooked in. Prophet, respect the Body Blaster. No, he's not going to be allowed out.
So we were talking a little bit about this during the break. It's going to be Boston switching things up. They're going to bring Striker in on Tracer. Mistakes will play Genji. His Genji hasn't been bad, right? We've seen him have some success on Genji as a hero. His Sombra has been fantastic. Can you make Sombra Tracer work without like the Shock have been running for an extended period of time? Maybe see a little bit more success.
You need to be able to access the backline. You really need to be able to get on these guys to dive in. So it's definitely possible. You can see now Hurek being threatened with a Riptide being brought in. Gamsu couldn't do anything about it. The payload's not moving now. Despite the fact that Boston are fully committed to this fight, they've got to double back and try and get this payload rolling. Gamsu's brought back to life because he was too far away to sort of prevent that resurrect. Boston are going to reset.
Yeah, but for Boston here, you trade out your Valkyrie for the other team's Valkyrie, but Ocean will use Whole Hog here. So a lot of ultimates used here by the London Spitfire. You're going to have Transcendence in this next fight for Boston. So you traded your one support ult for the other, knowing London's running a solo support here. Now you have that big Transcendence coming in. You know there's not going to be a Riptire. There's no Whole Hog.
Well, there might be.
I mean, there might be a Riptire, depending on how the first one goes. Junkrat, you're able to get that tire pretty quick.
The thing is, Hurek just pops this infra site now. So there's no way that you can really catch London by surprise, and that's often how those first picks are generated. That Holt almost pulling Neko into the line of fire of Hurek, who would have been more than happy to remove him prematurely from the engagement. Supercharger up, which actually is quite important when it comes to Widowmaker. She does a heck of a lot with that damage boost. Kind of filthy what she can do. Hurek now a little bit nervous because his infra site's expiring, right? So he backs away, making sure it's much harder to flank him. Gamsu not going anywhere, big fella, caught in the trap. Note suspended in midair, and Hurek can't make what would otherwise have been a simpler shot for him, but there's other things to worry about for the time being. Gamsu resurrected again. And here's the Riptide, man. I warned you, mate. No one listened to me. Note gets desuited. And that Orb of Harmony on him doesn't really do too much.
Okay, so they did get the payload around the corner, which is quite big, because when everybody's set up on the high ground for London, you can't really get a great use of the Transcendence because everybody has to go contest this on the high ground. They need to get the payload a little bit further, though, and force London off of this position to get a good use of that Transcendence.
The reality is, if London can win it all here, it'll be much of a relief for them. Otherwise, they'd have to play Oasis as a tiebreaker, and they're 1-7 on that map match. London want to end it here, or they risk losing the entire series. I know it's crazy, but believe me, it happens. Mistakes gets nothing with a Dragon Blade there. It's blunted. It's like a butter knife trying to cut through, and Wuyal is far too durable for that to bother him. Striker pulse bomb, yeah, got to deal with Badoshin, and he gets it done. Hurek is taken down by Gamsu, so they finally dive deep enough to remove the Widowmaker from play, but it's not been enough. Nuts deals with Striker, headshot with a Caduceus Blast, and he brings back Badoshin. Big Mercy plays coming out here for the Spitfire now, and a Gamsu's going to be forced back. There's really not much to be done for Kellex either, trying to spin around, show off that high sensitivity, but that doesn't win you games. Mistakes is punched in the back of the head, and the Spitfire now are on the runway, ready to lift off here for a series victory. And they've held the Boston Uprising to a fairly disappointing distance on this map.
Yeah, not going to be a good one, I don't think, for Boston here. Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult. I think, where the payload is, you almost need to get a first point hold, because, if London can get point A, and you kind of see where the payload kind of moves in and where it ends up, where that golden box of victory is by point B, it's going to be incredibly difficult to hold there. You're going to have like one fight pretty much when it gets from point A to point B, and if you lose that fight, it's pretty much GG.
One team who I think have this really otherworldly understanding of how to defend that first point, especially on this map, is Houston. They got a really lovely balance between aggression and knowing when to disengage and back up and use that shielding.
It's pretty nice to have Jake's Junkrat as well here.
Oh, yeah.
Junkrat's really effective on defense.
No doubt about it.
You have Linkster's Widowmaker, right? I mean, those two players can play their best heroes on this map and obviously put them to good use. Wonder what London does on offense with Badoshin. Played Roadhog on D.
He's flashing a cheeky smile right now, so I wonder if there's some tomfoolery in the works. I mean, Farah is risky, but if Hurek wins a Widow battle, then he can just start wrecking everybody, because there's actually only mistakes that can manage him.
Playing Farah Widow against mistakes definitely tests his Widowmaker skills, because he has to worry about the Farah Mercy in the sky. Just different eyesights, right? Like, imagine looking through the Widowmaker scope. You're probably not able to see Hurek in the same sight lines as Badoshin if he's playing Farah. Switches over to Sombra here. We could see this. I mean, a few health packs here, but not ones you're going to be able to like chain together.
You can flank around and get a hack on Gamsu or Note kind of easily. And it's very easy to just to sort of loop around the back, because these buildings all have paths, on the left and right side that will allow you through. All the Badoshin wants to make sure he does is be able to do that undetected for the time being.
It's a new look from London here.
Very much so. I mean, we see teams do this. I mean, Seoul used to flex Jaehong onto the Mei here. So it's not the first team to make more use of their flex support player outside of just playing Bastion or something like that. But I like it. We'll see if it works out, though. So Urek's lining up here. I'd love to see what Badoshin's doing right now, because he's actually going to flank around, I think, and try and see if he can get a pick. He actually hacked Mistakes. So Mistakes is hacked currently. Prophet goes down, though. Now Gesture has to back up and throw a shield in.
Just wonder what they go if this doesn't work. I guess if it doesn't work, you have to switch Prophet out. You probably switch Badoshin out as well. Actually, that's probably all you would need to do, right? So you're not really setting too many ultimates. Probably Gesture as well. So you're kind of resetting the ultimate economy of 3 players. Because you think EMP is a great ultimate from Sombra. It's very good in close quarters. So this would be the opposite of it, right? Everybody could spread out here.
Badoshin can now no longer move undetected. You see, he immediately gets the detected symbol because Infrasight's just been employed by Mistakes. So now Badoshin has to just behave himself, bide his time, and trying to spam things down from long range. Again, that Uzi spread has been reduced, so we can do that a bit more easily.
And the health pack placement for Badoshin here, when he translocates out to a health pack, it's actually quite far away. Obviously not going to take, the translocator to one of these ones where Prophet's looking at here by Boston. So it's going all the way back towards the spawn. But then he has to work his way all the way back to the other side.
Prophet's asking to get staggered right now.
Yeah.
Does get detected and right behind him. Oh, that could be a kill. Oh, okay. Prophet also avoids getting blown up there. That's a good turnaround, because now they throw the EMP in the mix, and somehow the momentum starts to shift heavily in the favor of the London Spitfire. They caught themselves an updraft, and now they're starting to motor along. Holt used to try and pull everyone above that Orisa barrier. Doesn't really amount to too much. The self-destruct also kind of fizzles. Gamsu removes Gesture, but Prophet is still shepherding this payload forward. Whilst Wuyal and co were trying to deal with the threat of Striker, who's going very low. He's just getting chased down in the side room. Prophet has a whole hog, but likely won't employ it now. Note, it'd be frustrating to lose the Diva at that point. Nuts, will he try and go for a cheeky res? He's hoping for it. No, he's gonna get out.
And I'm surprised they didn't finish Striker off. He was hacked there by that make a health pack, and they were not able to push on through and take him out. That was one of the better attempts.
Baited and outsmarted.
This will probably get rezzed up though. Or at least they're going to try and res it up.
Yep. No stopping that. Especially with the D.Va there as well. Defense matrix to cover Kalex or anything else. Having mistakes alive here is obviously crucial. Otherwise, then Hureg would have rule of the roost. So those shots are ringing out towards mistakes. He's playing right at the back.
And just with this strong defense, Boston has given them a chance if they do this.
That's a long-range headshot, man.
Oh, yeah. Riptire will come out, though.
EMP thrown in, nuss down.
It was an EMP plus self-destruct, and you were not able to get anything with it, with the self-destruct. But you are taking out some players. You get a high-value res, though, on a Neko. That large HP pool of Roadhog gets brought right back up. And it's difficult to get through these tanks.
I mean, think of it. It's not only 500 HP. It's effectively about 850 to 900 because of take a breather if that's off cooldown plus the damage reduction. So that's probably the best res target you have. And you have an Orisa barrier to protect it. Bit of a slap with the whip there. And Neko brings it down. The line of Spitfire have stalled out. This is looking bad for them. We know how rough their Oasis has been so far, Matt. This could be the series for them right now.
Binotion will switch. He'll play Zenyatta here towards the end of the game. Take a look. You're going to have a supercharger go down here for Gesture. It'll be a self-destruct that's running from Note. He's able to get Nuss. That's huge. You're not going to have a res here.
And no Gesture, no supercharger, a 6v4. Note's going ham right now. Binotion's falling down. Neko got to get himself the whole hog. And there's no one from the Spitfire on the payload. Unbelievable. What a hold on Junkertown. And you've got to be happy about that. The Boston Uprising get to play one of their better maps following the break. But more importantly than that, it has not been a good one for the Spitfire. Oasis is a dangerous place for them to be.
Boston will not go away in this series. You know, it didn't look good, their offense. They only make it about halfway from point A to point B, but their defense is incredible there, able to force a game 5.
And here it is. Prophet not really able to have that same impact as previously on that Roadhog. Again, hooks have been good, but Ocean obviously showing a bit of Roadhog himself. We get 5 maps in this series. I couldn't ask for much more than that. We'll see you after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
have been treated to a number of 5-map series over the course of this week already.
Yeah.
This one is no exception. It's 2-2 now after Junkertown, in which we saw an incredibly solid hold from Boston on defense there. But London, definitely their attack left a little bit to be desired, trying to mess around with some Sombra and some other picks there.
Yeah, you could see what London was trying to do with that Sombra, right? Trying to get behind enemy lines, maybe like hack Gamsu or Neko playing Roadhog and then push on through from there. They weren't able to really make it work.
Why does that not work?
I mean, well, you look, when you go in there as Sombra, right? You get the hack off, you get weak, you translocate so far away. I think you don't have anybody else who's really like a dive or flanker hero that can go in and finish that off. I mean, what are you trying to do? Have Hooray kind of finish it off from range there? It's Widowmaker, so you just don't really have the parts to really
Seems
get
like they're of two minds in a way.
out of that.
They're not necessarily trying to dive on Hack's targets. We saw that Bedosin would flank around Hack or Widowmaker, but everyone else is playing an Orisa comp on the payload.
I guess, you know, for argument's sake, Bedosin comes through with a hack. That forces the enemy Mercy to just kind of pocket that player through the hack, right? Because you don't want them to die at the hands of a Sombra. And then that denies some healing from everybody else, and maybe you're able to kind of work something out from there. But I was not pretty from London there in game number 4. I know we do see some weird results on Junkertown as a map overall. But, man, Boston, they have not gone away in this series. They have figured something out to make it work since halftime. I'm excited to see this final map.
So I'm very interested in this map, especially because we're going to jump headfirst into University, right? The reason why I find it so critical is this is where we see London generally play more of that heavier tank composition, right? In the past, they've played the Roadhog, Diva, Reinhardt composition. This is also where they have problems. Not a great stage or map in general for them, and they've actually lost multiple series. Because obviously over the course of the Overwatch League, we have had this be a tiebreaker map in more than one stage. And they have often sort of faltered here.
We don't really talk about it, obviously, because there was no subs on the side for Boston, but London will keep the roster in. I thought, you know, Hagapun, Closer, and Fury had a very good day in the first half of this series. I thought that was probably the best you saw Hagapun play in the Overwatch League thus far, like in a standout Zenyatta performance. They elect not to put any of those players back in, but Ocean looked like he could play Moira here at the beginning. I know Moira and Sombra are paired together quite often.
Definitely a composition that begs the opponent to try and step up and play close. Boston Uprising, looks like they want to work that full dive composition so that Mistakes Genji, which has been hot and cold over the course of this series, definitely needs to be, you know...
It's been good. I mean, he's been getting blades at a good rate. He's been finishing off some players. It's not just that explosive Genji play. It's, you know, a pretty safe conservative. But when you play with, you know, Striker and Gamsu, do you really need to be explosive players, right? I mean, you have those two you're relying a lot on. Jester and Prophet go down early here.
I'm so fascinated by this. It's so rare that we actually see teams just straight up play the full dive on both sides composition on this map. You know, yes, there's a Sombra in here, you know, Hureg, Bedosin's on the Moira, but again, they're trying to jump and get in each other's faces where in the past we see London just go for a tank setup.
It's a good point, Mitch. A lot of teams on this point, you'll play like Triple Tank with Junkrat, or, you know, you see Reinhardt come out a lot on this map. Both teams just want to brawl this out. London pushes back Boston as they are accruing, you know, some percentage on the point. It doesn't look like Boston is too worried about the point just yet.
Gamsu's down, brought back to life. Again, Kellex, very clutch on those heals. They're much harder to produce nowadays, but he's been doing it with relative frequency. Transcendence there for Neko. Obviously, Gamsu knows he can't survive with Transcendence in play, and that's the Dragon Blade from Mistakes. Will only claim Nuss for the time being. Hureg uses a hack, not the EMP, so he holds that in reserve for the next fight. And it's a good sign for the Spitfire, who start off 38% behind.
Probably could have held on to that Dragon Blade there if your Mistakes, I believe. Neko just comes out of Transcendence, you lose Kellex, so it's just, you know, well, he switches, so that's probably why they decided to use it. So he did use it there towards the end. Maybe he gets a miraculous braid and Gamsu's able to come back with Primal Rage, but if you're gonna make the switch, use it.
That body blocked up there, and Neko had a few scant moments to try and deal with him, but it's not enough. Prophet comes in with a Pulse Bomb, and both the Zenyatta and McCree have been removed. And that's a wash. Immediately the fight is over.
It's a good use of the EMP from Hureg. See, he gets stuck there for a little bit, just trying to walk by Node. He sees both support players there. He wants to make sure he gets them.
And Prophet can just glide over from the other side of the battlefield knowing that this has happened. And that's the thing about Sombra, you got to remember, if you clip on an enemy hero, you'll be revealed, right? Obviously, you might be invisible, but they can still obviously
you get very
feel
close,
your presence. So here's another dive. They're trying to find a lovely way to isolate the supports here. Very clever move by the London Spitfire, but now they've got to follow it up. They do finally deal with Kellex. Love the dive. It works out very well. It's kind of fun. It's novel to see this on this map when teams have just sort of defaulted to playing Reinhardt.
And you can make this work because of Bidoshin playing Moira. So Moira and Lucio as a combination, you're going to be using the Lucio primarily for the speed, not as much of the healing. Right now, you have Bidoshin doing 71% of the healing for the London Spitfire. So they're relying on him to put down a ton of the healing in the close quarter areas on the side of the map. On this point, you can do a lot of AoE healing to numerous players with Moira.
That's up to Boston. How do you break this? D.Va makes sent towards the side room, but didn't make it inside. Trades out now as Bidoshin's removed by a pulse from Striker, so the Fade clearly not available to him. Bidoshin's been using Fade aggressively to follow up his team's dive. That's why he doesn't have it sometimes to have self-kill or evasion. And it looks like the Boston Uprising able to break into the fight now. Just a couple of trades early gives them the win.
But 98% for the London Spitfire. You have big ultimates like an EMP coming online. You get Wuyall staggered though, so that'll allow them to get a little bit more percentage. Those support ultimates versus EMP, they have to do a good job of hiding, but on this map there's not a lot of great spots, right, Mitch? Really close quarter where you imagine Hureg's going to be able to find them.
And again, you'll notice, see note in that side room, he's just spamming those doorways to try and reveal Hureg if he runs through invisible. Hureg still sneaks through the net, so he'll drop in completely invisible. EMP comes out here. It's going to be Striker and Gamsu hacked up by that one. Mistakes is going to Deadeye. Note also was hacked, but it doesn't matter. Mistakes get the 2K. Two very important, very slippery targets dispatched by that pinpoint accuracy of the Deadeye. And that's huge for Boston. So big. It's going to put them now with a chance to win the map.
Yeah, now you're going to have Pulse Bomb, Self-Destruct, and Primal Rage for the next fight. If you are the Boston Uprising. Now, you're not really too worried about Sound Barrier. Nuss has been getting it every 2 minutes. It's a long time to charge that, but I mentioned he's only using speed primarily on Lucio. So see if Striker maybe hits a big Pulse Bomb before this even begins.
The way to win the fight. This would be the way to give yourself the round, but now the Sound Barrier probably giving him pause for thought. Who's Striker looking for? The Moira? Is he chasing Bidoshin? Yes, Bidoshin doesn't have... Oh, there's the Fade, so he's now used it. Now he's vulnerable, he gets stuck! Great response, but look at this. The whole time Striker was looking for a target. The rest of his team just gets dumpstered. Prophet and Hureg go huge in this fight. The switch has worked out, and the London Spitfire take it all away. First round. Orange and blue, and what a great response from a team who's looked very unsettled on this map in the past. It's a new look, a fresh start, different perspective on this map, and it's worked for them so far.
Yeah, we got a replay here of Prophet towards the end. As you mentioned, him and Hureg start to go off. He's able to get Echo. You see how far back they force these supports. Mistakes can't really help either of them on McCree. I mean, so many players in his face at that point. Nothing he can do.
And you see the front line, they just wedged themselves in between the back line of Boston Uprising and their tanks. And Gamsu wasn't in a position to peel back because it was overtime. He had to stay on the point. London Spitfire now come out with that one-round advantage, and this may be the series for them right here. Mistakes, over to the Sombra.
Both teams will play Sombra. London will continue to run Moira here, so not going to have the benefits of a Discord or Resurrection. But if they're going to play fast and you're going to dive in, oh, that's a huge kill there from Gamsu. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the healing here comes out of the Moira in this comp. Wuyall, though, takes out both supports here for Boston.
He's everywhere right now. Couple big picks, and Hureg can follow up now, desuiting Note and taking the Mini D.Va down. What an intense fight, but this is what London does on this map. They don't play the point to begin with. Oh, it's close! The Body Blaster of Wuyall is just going ham. He knows he has to head back over the edge now and let Bidoshin just try and do his work. Look at that, though. The biotic grasp. Striker can't avoid that.
And it's odd with this composition that Boston comes out with these supports, right? Because they're running a mirror composition. You want to be aggressive. You want to push on forward. I know Zenyatta and Mercy, not the two best supports at doing that. I think you do obviously love to have that resurrection and those. I think you're playing it for those big two support ultimates for the Transcendence and Valkyrie. But to really help those divers get into the backline, you're really running, 4 of them, right? With Tracer, Sombra, Winston, and D.Va. It's going to be very difficult.
And watch Bidoshin as well. Because once he uses his fade, the entirety of Boston are likely going to beeline for him. Because he has literally zero mobility from that point. Nothing he can do.
And they know that if they do get Bedosian, Nuss does not have enough healing to keep everybody else alive on the London Spitfire.
Get wiped out again. I gotta say, Wuyar's had an incredible start to the round. In general, we saw that passage of play earlier on. Great sequence from him. Striker, he wanted it! He wasn't gonna take no for an answer, and Bedosian trying to give the spray down. Unfortunately, it's not repellent. Striker will have his prize. This puts Boston now in pole position for the next fight with both support ultimates available. That being said, London will have them as well.
It's quite interesting when you look at the numbers from this one. London's getting good healing out of their Lucio, right? Even more healing than you have Neko doing as Zenyatta. I think it's just these two support ultimates you really value high for the Boston Uprising. That's why you're running the Mercy and the Zen. Let's see if they can put them to good use, right? I mean, the EMP kind of takes all of that away. You could have a lot of abilities taken away. 2 EMPs could potentially go down here. There's the first one. It'll be Sound Barrier used by Nuss. And it'll be Hurek using his EMP as well, but Neko doesn't get caught in it, he'll use Transcendent.
No, the only person getting hacked by the EMP was Note, whereas Gesture and Prophet were the ones affected by Mistakes' EMP. So slightly better from Mistakes on that Sombra ultimate, and look at the way it pays off. Dominant fight. Kellex was free to resurrect Neko. He wasn't hacked, he was entirely safe. He could just fly around the map and stay alive. And Bedosian and Hurek down. We are also missing an out. Last chance saloon for the Spitfire. And they just had to throw themselves at the point. Gesture and Prophet are waiting in the wings. You can see Prophet does get onto the point, albeit taking a bit of damage and forced to recall immediately. Gesture down, bubble up, but they just walk on inside and he's no more. Hurek, Nuss and Bedosian are on the way. They're using the Lucio now to speed them over to the point. And one by one, the Spitfire have to try and stretch this out. They need to get a couple picks in the meantime. It's a huge ask for them to stay in this round, Matt.
And somehow they're able to keep Prophet alive. Mistakes get a hack onto the Tracer, but Note dives in, not able to finish it off, but that's going to start to spiral everything out of control. A few players get weak in the back there. You see Striker will take out Bedosian. 2 kills come in favor of London, though. They're going to get both supports.
That's big. That could be a turnaround. Nuss is going big. He's got 2 kills. Mistakes is down. Hurek finds the pick on Gamsu. It's now a 2v2 over on the point. Note is hacked up on the D.Va, so can't do much, and Hurek's trying to dodge him. He translocates his way out. Still in overtime. Still in control of Boston. And Hurek and Wuyar were a couple feet above the point. That was a very close fight. And Nuss, with 2 kills on the Lucio, almost turned it.
Boston is pretty fortunate to escape that one. A Prophet and a Nuss are able to get into the backline even after being down Gesture. They get both supports and somehow make it back to the point. A little bit more left in that overtime. Wick went down pretty quick there. And you would have had 4 players coming right back down for London.
I wonder sometimes if people realize just how hard it is to stall like that.
Yeah.
Because not only are you ostensibly in a 2v6 in that situation as London, but you also have to stay alive as long as you can. But you also have to get kills while you're trying to stay alive and often doing ridiculous things just to avoid being killed. Somehow London managed to build up their numbers enough, and I don't know, Nuss and Prophet, love to see it. Wasn't enough to bring it back, so we're going all the way now to City Center. This series ends here.
And this is a point where I think it'll be a little bit easier for, potentially Nuss, Neko or Kellex to hide a little bit. The first fight here will go heavy in favor of London as they speed up, they get pole position. But I think as this round goes on, if Boston can get control, there's a lot of different areas on the map where you can break line of sight away from those EMPs, right? You get a lot of good use out of those big support ultimates. Kellex will switch over to Lucio, so now you value the speed to close the gap here over potentially a resurrection of Valkyrie.
So the entirety of London can actually sit up here, and they can just keep sort of rotating around, break line of sight, force Boston to try and dive them. And you can see that Wuyar's waiting by the door. So he's waiting for the main tank, and of course the flex tank for Boston to jump in, and now London have actually seen a better opportunity. They're going forward now. Punishing poor positioning from Neko, and Wuyar now just going to crack him in a Note. Again, D.Va's essentially a walking trash can when she's hacked. In fact, not even a trash can, because she can't even eat things with that defense matrix, so she doesn't do much at all, really. Gamsu's down. Gesture really making ends meet the way the Spitfire would like it. Now with Mistakes running away, Note thrown into oncoming traffic. That'll be 41%.
Striker's still here. He's able to eliminate Hurek. May have a small window of opportunity before Hurek gets back in where you could EMP. Striker does touch the point. Reinforcements coming in here for Boston.
You can see the Spitfire get ground. They would like, ideally, the Uprising to try and dive in. This also makes it a little bit harder for Boston to properly sneak mistakes in. Big EMP though, that's 4 targets that are hacked up. Beautiful, 5 in fact. Striker gets rid of Rui, but there's no way you're winning that fight. The EMP was just way too good. Mistakes didn't have a chance to use his.
Mistakes gets hit with that EMP, so he's not able to even counter EMP, prevent maybe London from running on in. So we're getting into one fight territory here, Mitch. Kelix and Neko now, who switch over to Moira, may not even get anything now. That can't happen. You lose Mistakes here. You're probably going to lose Kelix. He's really low. There'll be Sound Barrier that comes in from London. They're trying to put it away here. They're going to get aggressive. They're going to push them back.
This is perfect now, as long as they don't overextend. London have a 12% win rate on this map so far. So this would be a huge turnaround against a quality team like this Uprising squad. Gesture is hacked, but he gets up in the sky, and overtime is now ticking down. Striker's on the point. He's keeping this going, but the rest of the Spitfire are kind of ignoring him for the time being. But Gamsu breaks onto Bidoshin, lands on him there. And Striker now moves into the point with some more confidence. Primal Rage for Gamsu. Neko removes Wuya. Biotic Grasping used to good effect. Neko down though. Prophet deals with him, but there's not enough players. And all of the Spitfire is spread to the 4 corners of the city center. They have to regroup. And Boston stay alive.
And that is Striker that gives Boston a chance. So he goes all the way around on the right-hand side. Has the presence of mind to realize that London is pushing through. They're going for the kill there. They're using the Sound Barrier. They're going to try and push them all the way back to the spawn. He touches the point, pushes it into overtime. London is still stuck like over by the Boston spawn, trying to get those kills. Mistakes uses the EMP, they can't go anywhere. They're able to pick up the kills off of that.
Big stick there, Gesture really suffers for that one. Hurek takes a licking from that AoE damage, but that's it. Spitfire are gonna get out now. There's no point feeding extra ultimate percentage to Boston, who are already just getting that engine running.
Right now, Striker is 33 elims, 16 final blows, only 4 deaths. Playing out of his mind in that Tracer role. I think you see in those T-Mobile MVP ads roll, but I think he's definitely got to be up in there as well. I mean, he has been huge. You see Kelix playing so far away, doesn't want to get hit with the EMP here. Now he's going to come in.
All right, Neko now coming with a Coalescence. Will this be enough to help the Uprising weather the storm? The Spitfire aren't taking no for an answer this time, and Note is out of the picture. A lot of that Coalescence was committed to trying to keep Gamsu alive, but it's worked out because now Gesture's down. It's a Winston advantage to the Boston Uprising. Bidoshin trapped into next Tuesday, and the Uprising are hanging on here. Prophet can't get away. Has to blink out when it came off cooldown. Trying to kick Gamsu up, but Hurek's come on in. What a big Sombra play he's had so far in this round, but Striker spots him in the distance. He saw where he translocated to, but he can't follow him. He's got to stay on the point. They can't afford to give it to the London Spitfire. It's 4v4 on the point right now. But Mistakes is rejoining, so is Bidoshin. It's going to be 6-on-6 in just a second as Gamsu is trying to rejoin, but losing no D.Va, no real tank presence right now for the Boston Uprising. This is not good. They have to get back into the fight, but it's a 4-man hack. Beautiful from Hurek now, and Prophet's going to clean them up. You can see Kelix trying to stay alive here, but he's going to get bumped around himself. Note has a self-destruct, and Gamsu died before he could use his Primal Rage, and the London Spitfire looking much happier now. Now, the overtime, it's Striker on the point. Note and Mistakes are waiting for their chance to get in.
It is still Boston who controls the point here. Note will use the self-destruct just because he's taking so much damage coming on in. London has still not flipped the point here, Mitch. It's going to be a Coalescence used
Prophet
by the Boston Uprising. Prophet just throws his Pulse Bomb into the wall there.
That could have been a big mistake, a costly one. The EMP comes in, and now it's London on the back foot. Somehow the Boston Uprising have turned this around. Bit by bit, they stalled out. They've done it! Unbelievable! How do you turn that kind of round around? What is this match? The Boston Uprising snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Even they can't believe it, Matt.
And Hurek made such a sick play, Mitch. He gets onto the point and he hacks Note. That's why we didn't see the self-destruct to stall out on the first point. Then it's a 4-player EMP, and they're not able to win it still. That is such a tough loss there for London. A reverse sweep in favor of the Boston Uprising. I don't even know. There's no explanation for it.
This has been a case study in clutch stalling. The technique that you need to sort of apply and not to lose them out when you're so far behind. Look at Striker, he can't believe it. The emotion and pressure that he went through. He had an incredible game.
He goes 39 elims, 19 final blows, only 4 deaths. He plays unbelievable.
And you can just see how much it means to him. He couldn't believe it when he got up. You saw the look of shock on Note's face. 4 deaths for Striker over the course of that map.
it's mistakes just staying alive as Sombra for a while, and then no Striker coming in as Tracer that was able to stall the point out that gave them a chance there in the end. I believe we got Zoe on the floor with an interview. Let's go to her.
We do indeed. Thank you so much. Please give it up for the Boston Uprising. Wow. Just wow. This game went the distance. You were down 2 maps going into that halftime, and then you're coming back and reverse sweeping your opponents. What adjustments had to be made, Note, for the second half?
I think a lot of the issues was communication. Everyone was kind of tired. I'm still sick right now. I think you can tell a little bit from my voice. So my comms weren't as loud as usual. We're having a lot of problems just getting everybody on the same target. And everybody just kind of grouped up at the end during the break. And we just kind of said, just play the game, just do your thing. Everyone do their jobs, and it worked out.
Yeah, it absolutely worked out for you guys. And I saw the emotions were boiling high. Striker having a few tears going on there on stage. What is going through your head when these things happen on this stage?
There's a lot of emotions. When things are going bad, like it's almost like depression, like everything's so quiet, sad. But when things like this happen, your heart rate spikes, adrenaline's going. I'm kind of shaking a bit right now. It's, I don't know, it's incredible.
Well, you seem very calm to me right now. Anyway, I'm going to let you go backstage and celebrate with your team. Great performance all around, all across the board. Thank you so much, Note, for joining me. We're now heading over to the desk to break down the action.
Wow, unbelievable. The word best describes that match. I mean, listen. I'm a diehard New Yorker, okay, and you guys aren't from here, but you know, New York sports tend to have a rivalry with Boston sports, and I'm going to tell you this right now. That game made me a fan of the Boston Uprising, and as a New Yorker, that's a very high bar to hit. It takes a lot. It takes a lot.
They were so good, that match. The reverse sweep, I mean, when you look at the match, I did call it. I did call it. But it was so tight the entire way because London were playing a great game. And especially coming into Oasis, they'd only won 13% of it. I think they were 1-7 overall. And they still put up such a fight, you know. The teams are not going Farah v Farah like you might expect. The Sombra comes out. It was an amazing match.
Well, let's jump over to Ilios for the highlights in map 3. This is where Boston, they needed this decisive victory here, gentlemen.
And on Numbani, we were saying Gesture Prophet having such a big impact. Neko needed to come out with these incredible plays, and he did. He swarmed Prophet on Ruins, and they had a great performance there.
Yes, and then we saw the Sombra come out for mistakes, and this is sort of what he was known for, I think, versus New York. This is what New York struggled with, and so I kind of like this Sombra going in.
That EMP hits closer, and he falls to his death because he can't get back up to anybody.
Your passion is overwhelming right now.
So good.
Your passion.
It was an insane match.
Let's analyze the game, okay?
Yeah. Let's calm it down.
Yeah, let's calm it down.
Okay, we gotta analyze our game.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Talk about what happened.
Sorry.
Yeah?
I'll leave it up to you.
No. Let's go to map 4. Talk about
Yeah, you know what? We might as well move on to map 4. I mean, this was, you know, Junkertown, and again, it was, you know, we kind of a good showing on the attack from the London Spitfire to kind of,
the defense.
The defense from the London Spitfire, keeping them back, only allowing them to get 2 points on the board. But then you look forward to that Boston defense, and boy, that was crazy.
Yes, and earlier today, Josh pointed out as well that Boston Uprising were the one team to beat the Houston Outlaws on this map. So we know that Boston Uprising is a really good Junkertown map for them. But of course, then you are down 2-1, of course, in the series.
So much pressure.
Yeah, so much pressure. You only get to point B, and that's really rough, because getting to point B, that's not really enough to usually win a Junkertown. So actually, being able to full hold the London Spitfire, again, I believe they were full held by Philadelphia.
Yes, they were.
Actually,
yeah.
so the London Spitfire haven't looked good on this map at all as of recent, so.
Yeah. Huge plays coming out from Neko as well when he flexed over to, he was playing on the Bastion, and then he went over and played Roadhog at the end. A very versatile player, excellent stuff. Striker as well on the Junkrat, having an insane performance. This team really started to gel in the second half of the map.
Yeah, and then it goes down to the final game on Oasis. And I believe the stat showed that this was heavily in the favor
13% for London.
For London.
But
Boston they fought so admirably.
Yeah, and Boston Uprising no longer have their star Pharah player, so they can't play that kind of style anymore. Have to play Sombra Tracer or this weird McCree style. And London Spitfire play Lucio in almost all of their compositions, and they just dive them so hard.
But that was not at all the mentality I had, because going into this map, I thought, okay, Boston Uprising, they beat New York on map 5. So this has to be Boston Uprising being such obvious favorites. But then London Spitfire, they come out and they get the first round. Then here you see the aggression from Bedosian, Sombra, and Huyan's Diva, two of the more aggressive players in this lineup, and just get out there and get hungry. But then it comes down to this very final round and this final fight. That was the most insane fight I've seen in the Overwatch League so far.
I think it was. Yeah, ridiculous. You know, Mistakes staying alive, you just running around the point to keep it contested.
Striker contesting.
Yeah, Striker contesting just a little before that, and then Mistakes comes in with the big EMP. Gamsu has his Primal Rage. It's just the clutchest moment.
And you also saw that pressure really fall on the Spitfire, because I believe it was a Prophet who just post-bombed a wall.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, he thought he had something, just goes right for the wall. I mean, you know, again, right, these are some of the greatest players, if not the greatest players in the world here. And things like that will happen. That just shows the immense pressure that they're on.
No, but I think like every video gamer has been there, right? You're in the overtime push and you stop thinking about what's going on. You play more instinctively.
All right, not all of us have played in the finals of tournaments.
No, but even then, even if you're plat or you're gold, you know, you've been there where you start doing things in overtime you usually wouldn't.
Every match is an intense match.
Same happens to Prophet.
Yeah,
you don't have to be top 500 to choke.
Whether it's a quick play or whether it's rank or whatever, every match is an intense match. But here in the Overwatch League, that's as good as it gets. But we need to crown a player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP, and it's a man who wears his feelings on his sleeve. It is Striker.
It is the Star Tracer player.
The man was crying.
He really.
After the game.
That's unbelievable, really, isn't it? I think he's. At the moment, I do think that he is the best Tracer in the league.
Yeah.
There are a ton of others that would be able to argue for that title as well. But Striker is so good. He doesn't get as many resources from his team, goes for crazy plays, can also play a huge range of other heroes, and he was the man here.
Absolutely, and I mean, Bren is at home now, smirking. He called this last week. He said, yeah, I'm gonna call Striker the best Tracer in the Overwatch League. And here, me and Josh Am, we're talking about Striker as the best Tracer in the Overwatch League. Good job, Bren. Good job.
Crazy.
Yeah, he won so like golf claps.
Yeah, golf clap for Bren.
For Bren.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, folks. Your Omen by HP player of the match, Striker. I mean, what a game that was. But let's jump to those overall standings and see where Boston is right now. Because of that victory, they are now in 3rd place in the total league. That's massive for
London
this team.
Spitfire down to 5th.
Despite looking so good, London Spitfire in 5th. Crazy, with a plus 31 map differential.
Yeah.
And London down in 9th in stage 3
Dallas
standings. Almost impossible now for them to get back in the stage 3 playoffs. Still looking good for the overall playoffs, but man, if they slip any further, they could literally be out.
I mean, if they continue choking on stage, if this is a team morale thing at this point, you know, you're 1-4 this stage, the players will maybe start missing Korea, start doubting themselves. This is a pretty new team because it was two teams that meshed into one, right? So maybe this is where we see London starting to crumble.
They did look really good today, though. I don't think this was slumping London. I think this was excellent Boston. I think that's the thing
that's not what you're going to keep in mind. If you're a player, you're not going to keep in mind, we looked good today.
Fair
you're
enough.
going to keep in mind,
Fair enough,
we lost on map 5 again.
But you got to look at the incremental wins where you can find them. And if you're the London Spitfire in this instance, you have to think about those things. You simply, look, you can't hang your head low after every loss. This is a long, grueling season. If you were mad after every single loss, there'd be a lot of frustrated people in the Overwatch League right now.
And I'm telling you, there are a lot of frustrated people in the Overwatch League.
I'm just saying, man, you got to keep the head up and move forward. That's the advice I can give to the London Spitfire. Take it as you will.
Thank you.
But that's going to do it for us here today. What a match that was. Insane. And we're not done yet. Okay, if you just release it all the energy with that matchup, oh boy, because we got a good one coming up next. We have the Philadelphia Fusion against NYXL. Oh boy, it's gonna be a good one. You don't want to miss it, and we'll see you on the other side.